These are man-hating women that are standing outside. This is what it's about. They think the husband did it. They're crazy. They've lost their mind.
Do you know why
they're waving for a murderer?
Do you know why the woman is in a wheelchair? Did you even notice that she's
Couldn't care less. She's a murderer.
Correct.
Because she jumped out the window after this happened.
So she should have. I'd have pushed her.
Hell yes.
What you just said was absolutely disgusting.
Thank you.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Thank you.
And you can hear that he's not. Okay?
Why? Because it's true.
You clearly don't care, so pipe down.
And by the way, men watching this, if you have a woman sat next to you on the sofa who is defending this murderer, you got to think deeply about this. I've seen weddings of
we
people
need to have some empathy with
talk to your women and find out what are they thinking. They're defending this woman. It's
I don't
insane.
think anybody.
He's absolutely right.
I know many women that this has happened to. No, they did not kill their children, but they also, what you failed to mention.
They should be commended because they did.
I've had it with you.
Oh my God, they
And
should be
your
commended. They
sexism
didn't
and
kill their
misogyny.
children. She's a murderer. These women are cheering.
I'm done.
Shut up, silly woman.
In this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns and those who dig. Broadcasting from a Montana wilderness fortress at the headwaters of the Missouri, this is Matt Christiansen Live.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Matt Christiansen Live, a proud duct tape production for Wednesday, August 26th, 2026. Thank you for tuning in. Sitting shotgun tonight, the mighty beard of Turless is back. Welcome back.
Howdy. Saddle up, partner.
And just the mighty beard of Turless is here. More on why in just a moment. We'll let the suspense linger for a little bit. In the news for discussion tonight, Lindsey Graham's sister wins the Republican Senate nomination in South Carolina, apparently just because she's Lindsey Graham's sister. And she had Trump's endorsement too. But why? Because she's Lindsey Graham's sister.
I mean, what more do you need?
Yeah. We all claim to hate nepotism, and then we vote for nepotism. And I get it. I understand the symbolism of letting her finish out the term. Okay. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't vote for your average Democrat either. But why are we putting this woman apparently into a 6-year Senate term? What are we doing here? Yeah, and then that'll make her an incumbent, and she'll be really hard to vote out, actually. So She's she already is an incumbent of sorts, by not just by virtue of being the senator currently by appointment, but by just being the sibling of the late senator. Right. Maybe they're interchangeable. And if he was good enough for that constituency, maybe she will be too. I don't know. The family of Alex Pretti, the man shot to death by ICE agents in Minneapolis in January, they gave an interview, their first interview, to George Stephanopoulos on ABC. Did you catch any of this? No, I don't think so. Okay, so you'll come into it fresh. Absolutely zero responsibility taken. And there is, the Alex Pretti shooting is complicated. And I'm not an Alex Pretti defender. I think that guy created a dangerous situation and paid the price. But I get it. Like, he didn't draw his gun. He had the gun. As we'll get into, I actually still believe, even though the fact checkers will tell me I'm wrong, that an accidental discharge may have spooked the agents who shot him, and that's why he died. There's complication in that regard. So I can get some of the family's frustration or some of the family's desire for accountability, even if they could just admit Alex Pretti was behaving like an absolute jackass and had a big hand in his own death. It's zero accountability. None. Right. So I don't know what else I would expect, but it is fingers pointed everywhere, but at their son, which is baffling because leading up to Alex Pretti's death, it's reported at the time of his death, his dad was telling him, hey, son, be careful out there. Don't be an idiot. They kind of knew he was being an idiot. Yeah. And now they act like he did nothing wrong. It's amazing how simple the flow chart for not getting shot actually is. Yeah. And yet many people are failing this test. Well, he did. He did fail that test. And if you could just admit he didn't have to do the things that he did that created the dangerous situation, then maybe your asks for accountability for others would be a little more credible. Target has removed a supposedly racist costume hitting store shelves for Halloween. It's gone now, though, so I hope you scooped one while you could.
Yeah, tragic. Yeah.
It's a historical item now. I don't really get, I mean, I understand how they're claiming it's racist, but I'm confused by the costume because I actually don't even understand what the costume is supposed to be. It's so generic.
That's what I was wondering. Like, what were you going for? Like, yeah. I can kind of see what the critics see in it, but I don't I mean, the designer obviously wasn't trying for that. So.
Well, we'll get into the designer because that's the other hilarious part of the story. Was it a Klansman who designed this costume? No, it was not. It was a woman with a nose ring and pronouns, actually. Plus, Turless has some thoughts on postpartum psychosis and SIDS, as in sudden infant death syndrome. All of this related, of course, to the still ongoing and developing Lindsay Clancy trial in Massachusetts. Later, we'll take calls, voicemails, and emails. If you'd like to call the show live, you can do that through the Discord server, linked in the description. There are instructions and help available on the server. With friendly producer Tim, if you'd like to leave a voicemail for the show, there is room in the inbox. You have the next hour or so to leave a voicemail tonight if you'd like. But the number has changed once again, hopefully for good. I'll explain the number situation in a moment. Before we get into all of that, got to say hello to our featured listener-owned business for the evening. That's our friends at Elysium. Most of us use too many different apps just to stay organized. Tasks in one place, notes in another, habits somewhere else, and calendars everywhere. That frustration led listener and chatter of this show, Tortuga, to build Elysium. Elysium is an all-in-one productivity platform that brings goals, tasks, habits, events, reminders, notes, and project management all together in a single system. Core features are free for individuals with a local-first philosophy and human-readable files you control and can sync yourself. Optional cloud features add collaboration, shared workspaces, syncing, and team tools. Recent additions include customer and project intake forms that let clients submit work directly into your calendar. Smart scheduling preferences for automatic task placement, Sidewinder, a dedicated sidebar notes companion app, and optional AI support, including local AI that can work directly with your schedule files or connections to services like Claude or ChatGPT. Elysium is available now on Apple devices with Windows, Linux, and Android versions coming soon. Beta testers are currently being accepted with a limited number of spots available. Learn more at elysium.is. It is absolutely free to get started with Elysium, and you can use promo code MCListener for 10% off advanced features for life. That's promo code MCListener at elysium.is. Check out mattchristiansenmedia.com/deals for all my special offers from listener-owned businesses, deals by listeners for listeners. So why is only Turless sitting in tonight and not the usual two-man panel? That is the mystery. I do have a special announcement to make. Turless will be joining each and every Wednesday going forward.
Congratulations, butthead.
You have a work hat, do you? Okay. All right.
I'm part of the crew.
You know, Turless is such a good guy. He didn't even ask for that to be comped by the employer. I had no idea. That's paid for by you, I assume. I didn't order that.
Surprise for everybody.
Well,
I don't think I actually look that good in a trucker hat, but for at
what
least
are you talking
tonight.
about? That's the best looking trucker hat I've ever seen in my life. Everyone should pick one up right now.
That's true. That's true. Everybody looks great in one.
Probably
Everybody needs one right now.
Now, before I get misunderstood, I'm not doing away with the rest of the personalities. We're still going to do one rotator chat with the usual cast of guys also. So everybody's still sticking around. Nobody's leaving. But I do think this format adjustment is going to, I just think it's sensible given current availability. So, Joshy's gone, although he still hangs out. And if you're a member of the Discord server, he will greet you in homophobic vulgarity every single morning if you'd like. But he's not participating in the show for now. Mark is very busy, can't be here regularly. Robert, also very busy. That leaves me with a crew of about 4 who can participate regularly, but that doesn't really work with a 2-man rotation plan because you're just kind of alternating the same 2-man team it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I've decided to give a permanent chair to Turless. We'll keep our other contributors in a rotation chair. Everyone still participates. We'll have a little bit of stability, some continuity. Other than that, the Wednesday show format will remain the same. We'll do some news breakdown. We'll take your calls. We'll do voicemails. We'll do emails. So that is the plan for the short-term future, and hopefully it's something that works long-term. But, you never know how things work out. Maybe Turless completely messes up and he takes off that hat and he gets fired. Who knows?
Yeah. You don't want to see what's under there for too long. That's true.
You have any words for the occasion?
Well, I mean, I'm honored and definitely happy to be part of the regular scheduled programming here, and I will do my best.
All right. Well, congratulations and welcome to. I mean, you've been around for a little while, but welcome to the slightly different role.
As an audience member, been around for a very long while.
Yeah. I just mean participating on the stream, but you're just listening too. Been around for a long time. Much appreciated. I also have to announce that the voicemail number has changed once again, but it is hopefully fixed now. Speaking of hopefully long-term solutions to issues. So recall that the voicemail inbox has been broken for a few weeks. Voicemails in the original inbox that we used to use were coming in silent. So I had to set up a new voicemail inbox on a new service, but that service doesn't work with text messages. And some people like to text the show. Now the original service is up and running, so I can bring voicemails and text messages back online on the same number, but switching back meant I had to switch the phone number once again. So, as seen in both the description of the stream and the contact page on my website, the new number is 406-404-6281. Please update your contacts accordingly. Hopefully this is the final phone number change. I don't expect to make more changes unless I'm forced to. Thank you for your patience and your understanding.
Duct tape all over the place. It's a disgrace.
Speaking of the Discord server, we have some AI slop submissions from the AI slop channel. In fact, they came in while I was gone last week. So Jamie, listener Jamie, who used to make the movie review AI face swaps that longtime listeners will remember, he figured out what I'd look like as a Muppet.
Добро пожаловать, товарищи! Пожалуйста, наслаждайтесь шоу с изолентой!
Waka waka.
Now, I assume I was speaking Russian there. You probably are. I don't know. You seem like a guy who would be multilingual. Are you not? Do you know any other languages?
Man, I understand some Spanish. I have dabbled in Japanese, and that's about it.
So you wouldn't be able to tell me if that was Russian. I assume it was Russian.
Sounded like Russian. Maybe it's Ukrainian.
I would actually like an AK with duct tape furniture. Like I'll consider that build.
That's pretty great.
Now, Burn Bridges Brightly, who made the Rice and Rage LaDonna song, among other submissions, he made another advertisement for one of our great listener-owned businesses. And if you thought the Spanish Hero Soap ad was pretty gay that we played a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, here's a submission for a new promo from our friends at Kineo Mountain Woodsmithing. It's called Matt's Hardwood or something like that. Boy, making these videos sure works up an appetite. And let me tell you, nothing hits the spot like a nice big salami. Now, whenever dealing with large uncut meat, I like to whip out my hardwood.
For
Awkward
premium
silence.
hardwood cutting boards and charcuterie boards like this, go to KineoWood.com and use promo code MATT10 for 10% off your order. Order online now or call the number on screen to leave Matt a voicemail commenting on his hardwood.
It's the most goddamn faggy thing you ever seen.
That was mildly uncomfortable.
Now, note the number to call to comment on my hardwood has indeed changed. I'm sorry to burn bridges brightly, but I had to make that switch.
Darn it.
But all jokes aside, I want everyone to understand the voice that you heard in that is 100% manufactured. That is not my voice. I didn't say any of those things. I was not a part of the production of this. And it sounds pretty damn convincing. Even the video of me talking at the start. I know it's based on a real video of me, but I didn't do that. I didn't say those things. this is an inch away of being able to just completely fabricate me saying whatever you want. Yeah, or anybody saying whatever
they've
you want.
Posted a few things in the AI slop channel this week, and I honestly couldn't tell the difference.
Is scary close. The voice is nearly dead on. Like, it might sound slightly off, but barely, man.
I mean, you wouldn't notice unless you were really listening for it.
And I feel I'm probably the one who's most equipped to notice, because I know I didn't say that, so it doesn't sound right to me. But to a person who's not super critical about it, I think it could pass.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. And with the amount of audio, of course, that you've produced, just thousands of hours, it's really easy to do that. You can train any AI on your audio in particular fairly easily. So it's only a matter of time before we have Cybermat, and we won't need you anymore.
I will be put out of a job on my own channel and my own server, and I'll be panhandling on the street. But at least I'll be free. It'll be a new day.
Yep. In fact, Cybermat will work for you, and you'll just quietly retire.
Maybe. I think he owes me royalties if he's making any money. I don't know. But all right, I have unfortunate news to report, and that is that we have yet another one. An Indian illegal immigrant truck driver has claimed another life. Is it Sub or Subi? What is the name of this guy? Sube Singh.
I don't know, but Subi Singh has a better ring to it than Sub.
I guess. At least it's not Suck Deep. It's not the worst name I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Although he did suck deep. He was driving an 18-wheeler in Hinds County, Mississippi. This is the Jackson area. And this one might not actually be the Singh's fault, at least totally. The report that I see says the man who died, Dedrick Garrett. That's unfortunate if his name is Dedrick, considering what happened. I'm going to go with Dedrick.
Yeah.
Dedrick Garrett exited his vehicle on Interstate 20 and was hit by a truck as a pedestrian. So this was not actually a car crash. This was a semi-truck hitting a man walking, as far as I understand, on the interstate. I don't know why he was doing that, but that's not advisable behavior.
Yeah.
DHS confirms that Singh is a citizen of India who is in the U.S. illegally. Reportedly, Singh has a California commercial driver's license, as is customary. Yeah. Maybe New York, maybe Illinois. There are a few others.
Yeah. But usually New York or California.
Yeah. Well, did you see there was resolution in the WNBA saga? For a moment, it seemed like maybe the WNBA was actually going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Wasn't meant to be.
So, yeah. So much for the dream.
Apparently we have
looking
resolution.
Forward to those games.
Yeah, we all were. Apparently we have resolution to the WNBA's dilemma. Of course, the dilemma being the WNBA personnel overtly supporting so-called transgender rights. And now that two former NBA players, Enes Kanter, Freedom, and Royce White, have declared themselves women and stated their intent to play in the WNBA, the league had to have some kind of answer, but they really had no answer.
They didn't come up with nothing.
You can ban them because they're men, but that would be contrary to the ideology. You can't really let them play, though, either, because they'll completely dominate the league and they'll expose the ideology as fraudulent. So that was the situation. The WNBA had to find a way to ban them for a different reason. And so now they're banned, reportedly. This isn't the WNBA's official statement, but sources are telling different news outlets. They're banned not because they're men. They're banned because they are engaged in, quote, efforts to mock the league and to use the topic to demand or to demean, rather, and marginalize others.
Completely subjective. How do you determine that?
Yeah, I mean, it means nothing.
It's like, what? This entire time they've been saying, no, this is sincere. I mean it. I earnestly want to join the league as a woman.
And they've actually been quite polite about it. As far as the demeaning and marginalizing, I've not heard them say anything that was actually rude in any way.
They said absolutely nothing derogatory about the league itself. They have only insisted on fairness and appreciation for the league's own rules, and demanding that of them does not seem like an extraordinary ask. And but they're apparently pursuing this because I've heard that they asked the league to preserve their records. So maybe
you mean Kanter and White?
Yeah, they asked the league to preserve.
So as in they're going to sue, is what you're saying?
That's what they seem to be preparing to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great. I fully now that it's turned hostile, despite their politeness, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and so like the original show of them actually joining the league, I look forward to the legal show.
The move comes after, he should file a discrimination lawsuit too, Enes Kanter, for getting kicked out of the arena. I'm not going to go through that whole thing, but if people didn't see, Enes Kanter, Freedom, the guy who's trying to get into the WNBA, shows up to the WNBA game in Chicago on Sunday, and Chicago Sky player Natasha Cloud apparently raged at him for wearing a T-shirt with the definition of woman on it. It just says woman, noun, adult, human, female. And the WNBA removed Kanter from the arena and is reportedly also considering banning him from the arena entirely. Like, he can't attend a game in Chicago again for the crime of showing up to an arena with a biological definition on it in a way that enraged one of the stunning and brave black females on the court.
Unapproved political opinions.
I'm not going to name names because I'm not looking to pick fights, but I saw people who I generally respect claiming that this was a political stunt. But if the biological definition of the term woman is itself a political message, there is nothing that isn't political. Everything is political, but I guess that is the status quo.
That's where we are now. But I mean, that is a good point. How do you distinguish between what is merely an opinion about biology? I mean, it's so fraught in this age we find ourselves. Cutting the genitals off of children seems obvious, but it's somehow become a political football.
Yeah, and I would say too, statements of fact like this, we don't vote on the definition of woman. The definition exists outside of our political decision-making process. So it's just silliness to consider this a political issue at all. But really, it's silliness to carry on this topic any further, because now that the WNBA is saying that they're not serious about what they're saying about transgenderism, we can all go back to not watching and not caring.
Pretty much.
Who cares?
I like how he's got that arm span. It's wide enough to hug the entire women's team all at once.
Yeah. When they win, ultimately, when they win the championship, he will be able to hug the entire team. You're right.
Yep.
Well, apparently South Carolina just can't get enough Lindsey Graham, even after he's dead. Recall his younger sister, Darline Graham, was ceremonially, I don't know, you're kind of a wordsmith guy, right? Whatever. As a gesture of a ceremony, she was appointed to the Senate to finish out the term, Lindsey Graham's term, concluding in January. Okay, that's nice. Good for the family. But then she decided to run for a full 6-year term. Trump endorsed her because he too loves Lindsey Graham. And last night was the special runoff in this primary to decide who's actually going to be the Republican nominee for the Senate seat come the election in November. And Darline Graham won that primary against challenger Congressman Ralph Norman pretty comfortably, 5 points, 53-48. She will now face the Democrat candidate in the general election, somebody called Annie Andrews, who nobody knows and won't win. So almost assuredly, Darline Graham will be your next Republican senator. I mean, she's the current one, but I mean full-term Republican senator from South Carolina, despite effectively, as far as I understand, zero political experience. And I don't know if you saw this, despite a debate performance last week in which she openly said about a fairly critical issue, I don't know stuff about that.
National security question as well. Senator, are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States? If so, why?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States? And if so, why or how?
I'm just going to be honest here. I'm not on national security. I'm not that informed on national security, so but I do support the military. My brother was in the Air Force for 33 years, so I will do everything I can to support the military. My dad was in the Army. I'm not a polished politician up here. National security is not my thing, not my area of expertise, but I do support the military.
Better make it your thing pretty soon.
Do you give any points for honesty?
Well, I'm not sure I'm all that impressed by that kind of thing. I know a lot of people are. I mean, a lot of Trump's rise to power, his political ambitions have gone very well because he seems like such a normal guy to people, despite being, Mr. Rich. But I've never been all that persuaded by that kind of impression. And I just don't think, here's the thing. If I were running for office, I would have had a better answer for that question.
It's not that obscure. And by the way, she didn't say, the question was about Taiwan specifically, which is a fairly particular thing. But she broadened it to say national security.
Exactly.
The entirety of the issue.
That's the softball version of that question.
Yeah.
The difficult version of that question is the one that AOC fielded a while ago, and she didn't do very well either. But, a few weeks ago, whenever that was, somebody asked her and she said something like, well, this is a very important issue. And she kind of just word saladed the whole thing, Kamala Harris style. But this version was just, is it a national security issue? And the answer was, well, yeah. Yeah.
And
Taiwan is where we get all our microchips. Of course, it's a national security issue.
Yeah. I mean, there are pretty generic ways out of that that don't require particular expertise, like you're saying. I do appreciate not pretending to have knowledge that you don't have, whether it's someone on a talk show like this or someone running for serious political office, because the reality is nobody knows everything, and you shouldn't pretend to have knowledge you don't have. But the other problem with this answer, it's not just, hey, forget that particular thing. The entire genre I'm unprepared to comment on. She diverted to, hey, remember my brother? The whole point, the whole idea is people are voting for you strictly because you have the supposedly revered Graham last name. And when you can't answer a question, you actually state that explicitly. I support the military because my brother was in the military for some period of time. And that's why people apparently voted for her. Okay,
I'm glad you support the military. That's not really what we were asking, though. I
guess it is, because she didn't trick anybody, and they all voted for her.
Well,
so,
yeah.
What is the takeaway here? Either, and they're not mutually exclusive things, but points we can take from this. Name recognition really is that strong and indeed transferable. Watch out for that Hunter Biden run for the presidency.
Yeah.
And or Trump's endorsement still really matters in Republican politics. How would this have gone if Trump didn't endorse or had endorsed Norman for whatever reason? Would that have been in a 5-point race? Would that have been the difference? I wonder.
I keep thinking about that because Trump he's real tricky when it comes to political endorsements. He kind of tends to like endorsing people that the public already kind of favor. And so, he can nudge, I'm sure he can nudge the polls a few points.
I don't know about that though, because he's ousted incumbents in the primary.
That's true.
And so he's overcome the incumbent advantage.
That's true. And maybe there are other factors at play, because with them, there was a lot of anger at the fact that they weren't really team players. They were resisting his agenda in many different ways. And, Thomas Massey being the most famous example. And it's
I won't get you started on Massey.
Yeah. I'm not going to say a ton about that.
I am sassy for him, but that's okay.
I'm satisfied with the outcome. That's all I'll say. But yeah, and they weren't on board with it. So I feel like a lot of people were frustrated and continue to be frustrated with Republicans who kind of, they ham and haw and grandstand and don't get much done. Now, of course, it's not so great if they're on board with the agenda, but also they never actually make substantive changes.
Or do they even understand the agenda? Are they just doing what they're told? And that's
right.
I think South Carolina voters, given her debate performance and given some of her speaking since becoming a senator, I think they understand. I'm not revealing anything to them, but you should consider this on explicit terms. When you vote for somebody like her, you are voting for her staff. She is just a name. She is a face for the people actually making the decisions, which in fairness is probably true for way more senators than just Darline Graham still waiting for Mitch McConnell to prove that he is actually working.
He died.
But so is Darline abnormal in that regard? Or like Darline seems like she's unequipped for the job, unprepared for the job, but how many senators walking around DC or members of Congress or otherwise important people actually are making all their decisions independently on an informed basis? Probably very few, if any.
Well, it definitely varies, and especially when you're looking at the Senate. Usually, now we have the House of Representatives is kind of a circus. You have all kinds there, including some very weird people who don't know much of anything. The Senate tends to be somewhat more elite. You have a lot of interesting characters there, like we had Ben Sass, and Ted Cruz, who just finished his 5th book, I think. And so they do have a lot of independent thoughts, is what I'm saying there, even if they are also political animals. But they are often people who have studied. Even Lindsey Graham, who I had a ton of political disagreements with. I would say he was not an ignoramus. He definitely...
He's a fairly skilled politician.
Yeah,
I will give him that. And he had his moments, and I didn't hate everything. We went through the Kavanaugh stuff, for example.
Yeah, and he was, again, you don't have to agree with all his foreign policy positions. I certainly didn't. But he knew a lot about what was going on out there. This is a big difference between him and his sister. She just said... she doesn't really know that much about foreign affairs at all. And that was like Lindsey Graham's entire thing. One of the biggest criticisms of Graham was that he was more concerned with foreign affairs than domestic ones. So they're definitely not interchangeable.
Well, recall the case of Alex Pretti, the VA nurse who was shot and killed by ICE agents in Minneapolis in January. And without reviewing the entirety of that encounter, most people are familiar, but he showed up to record ICE activity with his phone. And he was legally armed with a Sig Sauer P320 handgun. And when ICE agents were physically removing 2 women from interfering with them while they were conducting whatever particular search or arrest they were conducting as part of Operation Metro Surge, Alex Pretti intervened. And he obstructed agents physically, and they put him on the ground. Now, he never drew his gun. An ICE agent removed it. But about the same time as that gun removal, agents shot him dead with about 10 shots. And my personal belief remains that Alex Pretti, or at least it's very possible that Alex Pretti's Sig Sauer, his handgun, discharged, which caused the shooting reaction. When I say that, I mean accidental discharge from a firearm that is known for accidental discharges. Now, the trace here, this analysis says, well, there are multiple video analyses that have concluded the first shot came from one of the ICE agents. And I looked at their multiple analyses, and I noticed you click analysis 1, and it's, oh, this actually is different. Okay, I thought they had 2 of the same. So my mistake. I don't want to smear the trace. I've not read through this Bellingcat one. I thought the New York Times one was linked twice, but it's not. So the third one I've not read through. The New York Times analysis that they provide saying there's no way that Alex Pretti's Sig Sauer shot first. The video analysis actually does not conclude that. It looks at the same video that everybody has seen, and there's no conclusive, obvious evidence in those video angles which gun fired first.
Well, we know that his gun did fire. Is that right?
I haven't seen that. Based on what are you saying?
See that? You would think
I don't know that we know for sure it did.
Yeah, you'd think we would be able to look at the gun itself at least and determine that.
I've seen some zoomed in angles that suggest the slide was locked back, but even that doesn't make a lot of sense because on an accidental discharge, unless there was a malfunction, if it had a mag in there, it wouldn't lock back. But if it's malfunctioning, it might do all sorts of goofy things. Anyway, the Washington Post analysis that they, so here's their New York Times analysis. We won't go through all of that. They also link a Washington Post analysis, and I listened to this earlier today. And in fact, the Washington Post analysis says specifically that the video does not clearly show which agent or which gun fired first. So the trace is not being completely honest with the analysis that it is referencing. But bottom line, Alex Pretti got physically obstructive with law enforcement while armed. Now, does that mean you automatically deserve to die? Not necessarily, but it does mean that it's very difficult to claim total innocence. You have created a very dangerous situation, very difficult to navigate. And in fact,
as a reminder, he had made trouble with ICE before. This is not his first rodeo.
You know, George Stephanopoulos brings that up in this interview, so we'll see how the family reacts. But the fact of the matter is, Alex Pretti was already committing a crime in obstructing federal law enforcement. He was armed while doing it. Don't obstruct while armed. Don't die. Okay? It doesn't mean that police conducted themselves perfectly, but Alex Pretti had a very clear role in this. So in all of that context, Alex Pretti's parents and sister sit down with George Stephanopoulos from ABC News. And if you remember, who was the interview? Who did Alec Baldwin famously give his Rust interview to first after he shot that woman on the set? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
It was George Stephanopoulos and ABC News.
I guess that would have been my guess.
And the themes of this interview are remarkably similar.
Someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
Absolutely zero accountability for Alex Pretti, zero discussion of what Alex Pretti could have done differently, only fingers pointed at everybody else. So first and foremost, firstly, the family says they learned of the shooting on the news, and they are not happy that they were not called with this information beforehand.
It was all over the news. We watched it.
We watched it.
We watched it on TV, and it's like, that's our son. That's Alex. And they killed him. No one called us. No one.
We still haven't heard from him.
Yeah, that's how we found out. Watching it on TV, watching our son be shot 10 times on TV.
In the back.
In the back.
Okay, and I can understand, like, just from a family perspective, that is not the ideal way to get the information. I get that. They're implying that someone owed them a phone call or they should have got this information a different way. The fact of the matter is, though, when you're out recording video in the way that Alex Pretti was, what's the point of recording that video? To post on the internet. And as soon as it's on the internet, it is going to be distributed. There is no way that authorities in Hennepin County, Minnesota, or the feds or anybody can deliver that information verified more quickly than that video is going to hit the internet. It's just a practical impossibility. So even though the one thing I can sympathize a little bit is it's awful for a family to learn this information that way. But given the circumstances, I don't know how could that have been any different?
Yeah. And whose job is that anyway, you know, in those sorts of situations? It's nobody's job. It's a courtesy that, that police officials might give you, which, I think they should. But like, there is nobody on staff who they would say, all right, the police chief or somebody, right? It's your job to alert the family as quickly as possible. No, they had other things going on. And
that requires verification of information. And the people who have the video are just posting, holy shit, look at this.
Exactly.
To X.
That takes no time at all.
Yeah. It's impossible if you want it done with courtesy, you have to verify the information, and they can't do that with lightning speed.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but the family wants us to believe.
Going to turn everything into a drama here.
Yeah. Well, the family wants us to believe that Alex Pretti, not only was he not an aggressor, he wasn't even a protester. Not obstructing, not doing anything wrong. He wasn't even there, apparently, with a political message to push.
He was just out for a walk or something.
He was just observing. He was just observing.
What did he tell you about why he was protesting?
He wasn't really protesting. I mean, and that's one thing we want to be clear. The day he was murdered, he was not at a protest. He was an observer.
Yeah.
And that's why he had his phone.
A kid who is out observing something that should not be happening in this world today, in the United States. Why? What did he do to deserve to be murdered? To left cold, on the ground, dead? My child. What did he do?
He was not a child. He was not a kid. He was a 37-year-old man. Every time we want to generate sympathy for people, Michael Brown is always posted with his like freshman year high school photo, or I don't know, maybe it's his 8th grade graduation or whatever. He's got the cap and gown on, Alex Pretti was not a child. He is your son. He's not a child. He's not a kid. He's a full-grown adult man. He wasn't observing. He was actively intervening. And she asks this question rhetorically. What did he do? What did he do? As though we all can't watch the video. He obstructed law enforcement while armed. And just because you believe that the law enforcement happening is unjustified, as you say, shouldn't be happening in this country, that doesn't mean you have a free license to intervene while armed or do whatever you want. If I see an arrest on the street, and let's say I even have good reason to believe that arrest is unlawful, unwarranted, under false premises, whatever, I think it's a wrongful arrest. If I approach and I intervene physically with a gun on my hip, what do you expect is going to happen? And if I believe it's wrong, don't I have avenues to go resolve that peacefully if I wish? That's what the court system is for. That's what the justice system is for. That's why I can actually talk with members of the police department. And I get it. Like, I'm skeptical, critical of federal law enforcement as well. And I know that accountability for federal law enforcement can be very difficult. The fact of the matter is that we're dealing with border enforcement. The only way that you do that is through federal law enforcement.
Yeah. And I like how they tried to make out like he wasn't there for political reasons and, he was just observing or whatever, at the same time as making their own political observations about what was going on.
Yes, but they're not political.
No, they're not political either. This is all totally bipartisan, neutral. We have no position on this whatsoever, except we hate it, and he did too. I mean, come on.
But he wasn't just observing. He was also helping. He was assisting. It's just good guy Alex.
Yeah, he's just out there with his philanthropy.
Yes. He was doing his usual charitable business,
that's it.
Lending everyone a helping hand.
From the beginning, it seemed like he was trying to come to the aid of someone else.
I was not shocked that he helped somebody. My shock is that he was murdered, and no one has given us the complete truth or anyone has been held accountable. And it's been 7 months.
There was more effort in vilifying him than pursuing justice, investigating this.
Okay. Obstructing law enforcement is not helping. If you believe the law enforcement activity is wrong, there are ways to help through the legal means. It's not helping when Black Lives Matter martyrs violently resist arrest. It's not helping to physically intervene on someone else's behalf in that way either. But the most preposterous point they make is that we've spent more time vilifying him than seriously investigating. Why is that? Now, sure, like the feds, DHS, Department of Justice, they're all a bunch of Trump henchmen, right? They're not going to investigate seriously. They're not going to hold their own accountable. Maybe there's a little bit of truth to that, but why not Hennepin County District Attorney Mary Moriarty, who I notice has been charging and intends to prosecute, despite legal hurdles, ICE agents. She's already trying to extradite them from Texas to Minnesota for exactly that reason. Stuff they did wrong during Operation Metro Surge. So I would ask the Pretti family, why isn't your district attorney? I know they don't live in Hennepin County, but the district attorney, theirs politically and the one who has jurisdiction here. The one ideologically aligned with you. Why isn't she prosecuting these agents for murdering Alex Pretti? Could it be that it wasn't actually murder?
Maybe there just isn't a case there because, knowing this track record, they would absolutely be prosecuting the officers involved if they thought they had a case. And apparently they just don't think so.
And maybe you could say, well, the feds have obstructed a serious investigation into the evidence necessary to do that. Well, this mom is saying it's murder. She's saying it deserves prosecution. She's using what to make that evaluation? The same evidence we all have, the same evidence Mary Moriarty and everybody in the Hennepin County Prosecutor's Office has. So it's not nearly as obvious as she says it is. And if she had a phone call with Miss Moriarty, I'm sure that would be explained to her. Now, you mentioned the car kicking that Alex Pretti had done.
Right.
And to his credit, George Stephanopoulos asked the family, hey, if Alex Pretti was indeed just a helpful observer, why was he out kicking the taillight off an ICE vehicle a few days beforehand? And the family has no answer. They say, well, Trump was very mean to call that activity what it was.
Shortly after his death, video emerged of Pretti in a confrontation with federal agents 11 days before he was killed in Minneapolis. Video President Trump used to go after Pretti.
President Trump called him an agitator, possible insurrectionist. What does it feel like when you hear the President of the United States saying those things about your son?
I don't think you would like my answer.
It's so unpresidential. I mean, it's ridiculous that, the leader of the free world speaks that way about an American citizen.
Okay, but why are those words inappropriate? He's on video agitating physically. He's obstructing law enforcement.
That wasn't just a little irritated kick either.
He kicked the taillight off, and he's yelling whatever. I mean, I'm sure he's not yelling nice things. Not that, saying words is necessarily a crime. It's just with what intent is he getting physical with his vandalism here? This is an organized violent revolt against valid federal law enforcement, which we call definitionally insurrection. And I know that's a loaded word these days, but if it's so unpresidential to call American citizens insurrectionists when they violently protest against the government, I'm guessing here because I don't know. Who did these people vote for in 2020 and 2024? I'm going to assume, based on principle, they refused to vote Biden and Kamala due to their very unpresidential rhetoric about insurrectionists.
Undoubtedly.
I'm sure they stood on principle.
And I'm sure they offered the same verbal criticisms at the time. Like, you can't just go around calling these protesters insurrectionists.
It's like, the vast majority, in fact, nearly the entirety of what happened on January 6th is the equivalent of kicking that taillight. It's not good. It's criminal. It should be prosecuted. I get it.
You're knocking fences over. But
how do you look at breaking a window at the Capitol and say that was a threat to our democracy? Alex Pretti kicking the taillight off an ICE vehicle is just being a helpful observer with no political cause. It's
really amazing. For them, as usual, violence is speech, and so they're entitled to violence because it's actually speech. Whereas if you're on the right, speech is in fact violence, and if you actually commit violence, that's tantamount to insurrection, and it is open season on you. You can be shot anytime anybody wants. I mean, do we need to talk about? What was her name? Who was shot in the Capitol?
I can see her face. Why am I blanking? Ashley Babbitt.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ashley Babbitt was unarmed altogether, right? Unlike Alex Pretti. But apparently, she's climbing through a window or whatever. It's fine to shoot her. Nobody had a problem with that.
She was observing. No political cause. And I don't think she deserved to be shot, granted, but the way they can explain away the political intent is kind of amazing, actually.
So the track record here of harassing ICE and doing so in this case while armed, and especially if a live round was discharged while they were trying to arrest him. Even the arrest itself, like, if you want to avoid being shot, just cooperate, and you won't have this kind of violence.
Well, that's why they're not getting the murder charges they want, is because the case is far more complicated than that. And it wasn't murder. It just wasn't. Even if you think that the killing was unjustified, they clearly did not go in with some premeditation to kill Alex Pretti, without justification. It was a very confusing situation that he made confusing himself. So even if you want to say by the strictest letter of the law there was unjustified action, we're talking about like some kind of manslaughter. We're talking about something like, we're not talking about a straight murder charge. It's never going to stick. So they're not going to get the murder charge. They instead, what they want as a matter of justice is they want the names of the ICE agents involved released.
Oh, of course.
There are 2 shooters. They need to be held accountable. Why do they get to just go about their everyday business?
I want their names to be released.
Oh. Right, their names have been reported, but never officially released.
Right.
Correct. So they're out there. People know their names.
They murdered our child. I understand that immigration, there is a policy in place. I understand that. But this is not the way to do it. People need to be held responsible when they murder people in this country. Period.
Okay, but your son has no responsibility for obstructing law enforcement while armed. It's not murder. ICE agents didn't pick him. He picked ICE agents, in fact. But why do they want the names released? It's so they can whip up the mob to harass them, to try to get their justice outside of the justice system. And as far as the IDs, you heard them mention there, they actually are out there. Never forget the greatest irony in all of this. He was killed by 2 Hispanic guys.
Yeah, right.
Gutierrez and Ochoa.
Many such cases, actually, in ICE.
ICE is so racist against Hispanics that they give the Hispanics the worst job of dealing with Alex Pretti. That's how racist against
that's true. It's not great, but somebody's got to do it.
So no murder charges. So far, no mob justice, really, even though the names are out there. What the family will settle for, apparently, is an apology. Everyone just say you're really sorry to the Pretti family.
Are you past the point of expecting an apology?
I expect an apology. Why shouldn't we get one?
For the things they said.
For what they said.
Okay, so to be precise, in the context that was asked, it was about like Kristi Noem calling Pretti a domestic terrorist and some of the other mean words to come out of the White House. But when is this family going to? I'm not demanding that they apologize. They are not Alex Pretti, whatever role they played in his decision making. But at least acknowledge the recklessness of obstructing law enforcement while armed. When are they going to apologize or at least acknowledge, not dismiss at least the need to remove heinous criminal illegal aliens from this country? That's actually kind of important. And by the way, politically, we voted on that. That's a priority for a lot of people.
That's true.
When are they going to apologize for thinking that they get a personal veto on law enforcement? If they don't like it, they just get to stop it by force. When this family acknowledges even one thing that Alex Pretti did wrong, I might listen to some things they think others did wrong. But if you maintain that Alex Pretti was just a good boy recording videos with no political bend at all, nobody's going to listen to you. And if I call him a jackass for vandalizing property and for behaving the way that he did, you're going to tell me I'm bad for saying mean things about him. You're not going to receive sympathy that way. So good luck.
And you know, all this talk about words, it's not like they're being careful with their language. Like you said, like how many things do we have to list here? First of all, they're calling actual lawful enforcement of the nation's laws. They're calling it illegitimate somehow. And they're saying that it is perfectly okay to resist in the ways that Alex did. That's what is being implied here.
You need to observe in the way he did.
Observe, right?
Yeah.
So this violent observation, they're essentially saying yes, more of that because it's okay. It's perfectly okay. So get in ICE's way with your observations all you want. They are calling it murder, and normally we're kind of careful about that sort of thing because there's been no murder charge. There obviously hasn't been any trial because there's no charge. And so you can't. This is what the left tells us all the time, right? They tell us this about abortion all the time. They say no, murder is a legally defined thing. So you cannot call it murder unless it's gone through the whole process, and it has been found to be murder. And that's not the case here.
Yeah.
And last of all, if I were on the left, I would be saying, well, that sure sounds like they're calling for a lynching. They're calling for a lynching of those police officers.
Not only those police officers, those hardworking Hispanic police officers.
Yeah.
They're very racist.
Yeah.
But the last thing I'll say here, so if Alex Pretti is a child, just a kid, well, the question then is, why didn't you parent him? Why didn't you tell him, not a good idea to obstruct law enforcement while armed? And they kind of did. remember in reporting at the time, so when I say the time, like back in January when Alex Pretti was shot, Michael Pretti, the father we just heard from, he said, according to reporting in Colorado where they live, he warned his son, quote, go ahead and protest. What do you mean? I thought he wasn't protesting. That's what he says now. Go ahead and protest, but now it's changed. But do not engage. Do not do anything stupid. And then he went and engaged and did something stupid. So dad had the wisdom then, but now when his worries are realized, he won't say that what his son did was something stupid. If Alex Pretti did nothing wrong, then why was dad warning him about it ahead of time?
Yeah, and that actually goes to an observation that I was thinking of earlier. And again, you know, I don't want to get into that whole, you know, this whole thing that people do, like Candace Owens has done too much of this, along with her followers, about like reading body language and tone of voice and all that sort of thing. But I will very mildly suggest that they don't really seem that surprised, his parents. If it were my parents and I got killed by police or somebody else, they would be incensed beyond belief, because they know I would not be out there kicking.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, they've had 7 months to come to terms with it. But
yeah, and that's true. Yeah. That's true. It's been a while, and they've prepared for these interviews and that sort of thing. They still don't seem that shocked, to me anyway. But it just seems like Alex, like the text that you just showed kind of demonstrates, it just seems like he had this temperament.
They could see it coming, and then it happened. Yeah. We are about the top of the hour, so I know you have a lot. My time management was not great. I know you have a lot to say on SIDS and postpartum. So how do you feel? Why don't we save that for maybe after calls so we can have enough time to go through that? Our email list is not extreme tonight, so I think we might be able to build it in there. Before we get to calls, quickly before the top of the hour, because it's not that deep. You want to talk the Target Halloween costume?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, we are apparently flashing back to 2020 when everything was racist. I thought we were over this, but we're doing it again. Retailer Target has apologized for a supposedly offensive Halloween costume that they had for sale. Many, myself included, are still waiting for an apology for having Halloween stuff out before Labor Day. The hell are we doing as a country?
Yeah.
In a statement.
Oh, I saw the giant skeleton at Costco in the middle of July.
Yeah, we need rules about this. I am an authoritarian on this. We need national standards.
We need an emergency executive order to put a stop to early Halloween decorations and figure out what the heck's going on.
The many heroes of the past, the Medal of Honor recipients, they did not die for this bullshit. We owe them. We owe them something better. But in a statement, Target said they got this wrong, and the costume was hurtful to black guests with a capital B.
I don't even like racism.
Target says they are investigating how this happened. And there's nothing. They know, like, the person you hired to design Halloween costumes designed it. There's nothing to investigate, but they have to say this. All right.
Well, and she designed it. Somebody else approved it. Apparently, nobody throughout this whole process thought it meant anything until it hit the public's eye.
I never would have thought this until they said it. But okay, the costume, according to critics, resembles a painting depicting Thomas Dartmouth Rice, who made a famous, or Thomas, I don't know if this character, that the character's not him, but Thomas Dartmouth Rice is the creator of the character, I guess. It's the character Jim Crow. We hear about Jim Crow laws in the South all the time. This is the actual character Jim Crow, created in the 1830s. And that character was often depicted at these minstrel shows or whatever, wearing blackface, and performed, as a singing comedian was the bit with a stereotypical accent. So the child model posing in the Target costume has a similar posture and kind of similar pants, I guess. But I'm just confused all around here. Number one, the controversy of the depiction was blackface, but this isn't blackface. It's a black kid wearing the costume. So now he can't wear it, I guess. Number two, what the hell even is the costume? There's not really a description of what it is as far as I've seen. It's like some kind of generic Halloween clown thing with a scary grin.
Yeah.
But if a kid came to my door and had this, I wouldn't know what this is. I'd say, nice costume. Now take your candy and
get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
I would never
get off my lawn.
I would never think about it again. I would not. I even though I like to laugh about these things, I feel like I'm pretty in tune with what people think is racist. This one would never get me.
No, I keep trying to figure it out. It's almost like a jester costume that's slightly jack-o'-lantern themed, maybe. I don't know. It's a tough one.
So what actually happened here, what happened at Target, is they are still overusing. Well, I should be fair. I don't know that they're overusing, but I'm going to guess at Target there remains a commitment to using capital B Black models, okay? And they put capital B Black or other racial minority models in their promotionals.
So we have to be careful.
And that itself, ironically, made people think this is racist. If it was a white kid in there, I don't think anybody thinks anything about this. Even though the point, I assume, I'm not saying this kid is for sure a DEI hire. I'm just saying, Target, despite the rollback of the DEI initiatives, remains ostensibly committed to these things. The reason they have Black and racial minority models is to be progressive and inclusive in that way, and yet that prompted the backlash in this case. And emailer Quentin sent me some thoughts about this story, and I think they're also very relevant. The costume designer and manufacturer, because remember, they're doing an investigation to get to the bottom of this. It's a company called Hide and Eek Boutique. And it's managed by creative director Ashley Honstein. And Ashley has now locked her Instagram profile, but her politics are quite obvious.
That's a huge bitch.
Not exactly hiding the ball there, no.
Pronouns in the bio, rainbow flag. We got the nose ring. So
also just about the right BMI to be on the left.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
The creative director coming up with this racism that they have to investigate is a nose-ringed rainbow flag fat chick with pronouns, just to be clear. And still, despite her best efforts, she has pissed off the precious capital B Black activists accidentally. And the backlash to this Halloween costume, maybe it'll just blow over. But if there is any momentum to it, it could be used to pressure Target to bring back the DEI nonsense. In recent years, Target has rolled back its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, presumably because it's not as profitable as it was circa George Floyd. Maybe a turnoff to many consumers. Maybe the mob has life again with this new opportunity, this new Halloween incident. The correct answer for Target, of course, though, is either one, say nothing and let the offended tire themselves out because nobody who matters gives a crap about this. Mm-hmm. Or number two, the better option, mock them sport drink style, okay? Anybody who comments critically about this being racist, quote tweet them and call them a stupid bitch. And that will actually earn back business. In fact, I will enthusiastically shop at Target once that happens. Let me manage the Target X account. Not even me. I'm not the greatest tweeter. Someone can do it, though.
I'm telling you, that is the path to national healing right there.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts on Target before we get into some calls?
I mean, no, not really. It's not even sensitivity, you know. This is what gives people meaning in their lives. Watching everything like a hawk to make sure that anything that can be offended by will be. It's
recreational, man.
It's a
hobby.
full-time job for some
people. National pastime.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to check in with some callers. Before we do, hey, have you considered joining the MC Club? Well, you should. Here's why. Hey, if you enjoy the show, please consider supporting the show by becoming a member of the MC Club. For as little as $1 a month, you will enjoy a series of exclusive perks, including ad-free videos and podcasts, video calls, and a community Discord server with me and other listeners, loot box giveaways with channel merchandise, your name in the credit roll after videos and streams, and much more. But most importantly, you will help keep the Duct Tape production alive and independent from all those sinister forces of control. Join the MC Club at mattchristiansenmedia.com/support. Linked in the description. Okay, we got Golden Leaf up first. Don't be a fool like me and be muted in the Discord server. But I'm not. I'm ready to go.
Hello
Golden
there.
Knife, are you there?
Hey.
Yes, I am. How are you guys doing today?
Fabulous.
Well, what's on your mind?
This whole trial with this mother who most definitely planned on killing her children. I don't believe for a second that it's like, oh, I was depressed. For all the evidence I've been seeing, she's done it. And I saw someone make a comment a while ago, said, if the husband was at least a little bit hot, you'd have women flocking to want to fuck this dude.
I guess I had not considered the attractiveness of Patrick. Poor Patrick.
I don't think he's ugly or anything, but he doesn't have, he's not heartthrob level like Luigi, I guess.
Yes. And
who would win in the crazy feminist adoration contest? Luigi Mangione or Lindsay Clancy? That is a very compelling matchup. You're right.
Yeah.
Not really compelling. Because again, if the husband was just a little bit more hot in women's standards, and also the fact that astrology has been used as part of this is hilarious to me.
By this, you just mean like the deranged TikTok reaction.
Well, we have had the misfortune of being
Gemini, and
we have had the misfortune of being introduced to the term. What was it? Astrological forensics, something like that.
I have not heard that, and I wish to go back to a time in which I never had.
That sounds like a whole bunch of bullshit. Which that basically is what it is.
Yeah.
But
well, okay. So, what's your how closely have you been watching the trial, and what's your expectation for the outcome? I didn't tune in today, so I know they're coming up on closing arguments, but I'm not sure where exactly the trial stands at this particular moment.
I've been watching every now and then at work when there's some downtime. So far with the evidence, I mean, her defense is really going on. I have depression and everything. I was sad and everything. Problem is, it seemed like she was doctor shopping for the right amount of medication, and the actual experts of postpartum depression and all this were like, yeah, she's off the time frame. Like, she would have...
That's the thing. Like, postpartum, it's 8 months ago.
Yeah. And that's actually among the things that I was kind of thinking about talking about tonight.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
Yeah, the doctor thing, for example. 6 or 7 doctors, I believe it was, and she didn't inform them that she was seeing all of them, of course. And she got medications from all of them, and then she wasn't really taking all of the medications, but she very conveniently did take a dose right before she killed the kids.
It's an interesting angle on this, because I don't know what the rules on that, if any, there should be. But doesn't it seem like at bare minimum, because she's also suing these people for malpractice or whatever, like some sort of error in medical judgment. But at bare minimum, you can't be suing medical practitioners when they are operating without complete information. Like, if you deliberately withhold that you have prescriptions for A, B, and C from doctors 1, 2, and 3, and you don't tell Dr. D about that, Dr. D is a weird name. How about Dr. E? You don't tell Dr. E about that. Is it really Dr. E's fault when your medical concoction that in fact you have created, not the doctors, you, how is it his fault when you didn't give him the information necessary to judge whether that was an appropriate prescription or not?
Right. And so that really undermines the case of the TikTok women who are all out there saying, the system failed Lindsay. Oh, it's the system. Everybody failed Lindsay. That's just, there is no evidence for that. The more of the trial that we see, the less convincing that case is.
She voluntarily went to a psych facility and then voluntarily checked herself out. So
she was too crazy to leave, though. She's how did she voluntarily check herself out if she's too crazy for anything else? It doesn't make any sense.
And then her saying, well, I was still hearing the voices. Oh, so you just lied, basically.
I don't know. The common denominator is a woman is not responsible for anything she has ever done or ever will do. That is the one principle that applies.
Again, a couple of jokes I heard is, Well, we all hear about women's rights, now about women's wrongs. Is a good
See,
one.
we do need
hearing.
more discussion of women's wrongs. There are many to discuss. Appreciate the call, Golden Leaf. Thank you.
Oh, I do have one more thing.
All right.
I don't know if it's just my YouTube thing or whatever. When I'm watching your guys' stream, like you'll get to like the good parts. I had to rewind your Alex Pretti video when he was talking about the kicking of the cop's taillight because I got a fucking 30-second ad on the live stream.
It can happen. Now, I have it set to a little bit of on-air production talk here, I guess. I have it set to balance, so it's not supposed to be obstructive. It's supposed to balance revenue earning opportunity with viewer experience. So you may see some unskippable 30 seconds. It's possible that I can, you can like deploy ads on demand, but I got so many buttons to push. I just can't do that right now. Here's my solution. Join the MC Club and get the show ad free after the fact, and or just use like Brave to watch the show while it's live if you're an MC Club supporter.
Yeah, I was using my phone usually when I'm watching you guys.
Well, they got you then. You're screwed.
Well, I have Brave on my computer. It's always nice, except now YouTube's being a
Brave is on Android. I don't know about iPhone, but
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can watch within the browser, or does it automatically send you to
and it's actually very convenient. I do that all the time because you can play Brave. You can play YouTube on Brave in the background on Android. And it's one of the few ways that you can do that.
Well, like I said, definitely listen to the show in the YouTube app. Don't skip any of the 30-second ads and buy an MC Club hat like Turless is wearing.
It is a nice hat. I will.
Thank you, Golden Leaf. I don't even have one of those hats, actually. All right.
It's very, it's pretty nice. I like it.
All right.
Glad
you
it
take care,
is satisfactory.
And hopefully, we see the end of this trial. Final predictions. What are you guys thinking? Guilty of murder?
I got to let you go, but it's
go.
Massachusetts, so I'm saying she's going to be not guilty by reason of insanity.
Yeah, most likely. Alrighty. You guys take care.
All right. Thanks, man. You have a prediction before we move into
of the trial?
Yeah, or just what the outcome will be.
Just based on the witness testimony that I've been seeing and the facts of the case, I have a hard time believing that the temporary insanity plea is really going to work out for her. And I don't need to save this for later. It's just the because you have to ask, right? Like, all right, if she didn't just like black out, right? Suffer demonic possession or something and wake up and say, well, where'd the kids go? Right? That doesn't appear to have happened. She knew what was happening the whole time.
Yeah.
And that begs the question, so why'd you do it? All right. The command voice thing doesn't really hold up. And so the explanation seems to be something along the lines of, it's one of those cases where she wanted to, this again, I have questions even about this theory, but she wanted to kill the kids and then herself so that they could all be in the next life together, something along those lines.
Has she said that, or have people just inferred that?
I think that's more of an inference.
Okay.
I don't think she's directly said that.
Or her lawyers, or whatever, her representation, but
her lawyers prefer the other one where she heard the command voice, right, and she just had to obey. But expert testimony has come along in the trial, where one expert says, look, there's nothing really requiring a person, even suffering psychosis, to obey every command voice that they hear.
Yeah, I saw that. And I know that might be a part of what you have to say in a little bit. So I will save comment on that for when we get there. Let's talk to Fwen. Fwen, are you there?
Yeah. Hey there. How's it going?
What's on your mind, sir?
Okay, I guess a few real quick things. We got to get a Foundering song written for like the backstory of that costume. Maybe even, I don't know if you could still get one. I don't know if they're on eBay, but
there's got to be a way. Yeah, there's someone out there has one. You're right. To have him perform in that costume would be grade A internet material.
He did a great, rest in peace, Dolly Parton. I'm a little sore about her capitulating and renaming, like removing the name Dixie, like from her theme park and stuff. But
really?
She also did a thing about like vaccines where she like Jolene or whatever. She changed the lyrics to vaccine.
Oh, that's
vaccine.
right. And I'm not. I
And
was never a
Foundering
huge.
performed that. So
He
you should
performed the
check that out.
vaccine version.
Yes, yeah.
Did he
did
edit
that.
it, or was it mockery, or was it actually just playing the song?
So she kind of starts playing it. Like she sings it right before she gets the vaccine in this video. I forget
Yeah.
when exactly it was from that she got it. But he's been in the replies to a bunch of people, and like just replying with his version of it. And
I forgot
yeah.
about that. And I'm not a huge Dolly guy. I'm not a hater. I'm just not a. I was never like a giant fan, so I don't feel like I'm in position to evaluate her career and her contributions. But Jolene is the one song of hers that I really love, and I forgot that it was tainted in that way.
Well, if you've got
Violated.
kids, if you have kids under 5, you can sign up for her like imagination library, and
Yeah.
they'll send you a book a month or so. So that's worth signing up for. She gave away tons of money, so rest
Yeah.
in peace. I think she was a good woman, but capitulating to that on Dixie, that's pretty sad. Or a tip on YouTube: if you're on an iPhone and you're using the YouTube app and you swipe up and you get it to play in the mini player, you can lock your phone, swipe down to where you see your media controls, and you can play it while your phone is locked, which usually is a YouTube Premium exclusive feature. So just for anyone that didn't know that, you can play
Rajmohan's going to
YouTube
fix that
locked.
right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he's monitoring closely.
Here's my tip: watch all the ads and enjoy them, and then buy the product. I don't know if I actually don't think I get a commission on those sales.
Yeah.
No, if on a serious note, if I don't want ads to be obstructive, and I don't actually have a specific readout of like, and when you watch the show later, like on demand, the ads are set to roughly every 15 minutes, so that's not obstructive. But if you're getting like unskippable ads every other minute, do let me know, because I'm not trying to achieve that sort of effect. So anyway,
it's nothing like that. Although
Yeah.
I will say, joining the MC Club, it's pretty nice to have the ad-free version.
there you go. You can just
Um,
I can't do it live, unfortunately, but you're right. It's like pretty much within the hour after we're done, you can log into that MC Club page and you can watch the show without ads at all.
Yeah. One thing, and I really didn't want to talk about this, but it's probably all I got time for now. This, the case about this woman who murdered her kids. There
Mhm.
was testimony from a therapist that she spoke with, where he was saying that like what Turless was mentioning here, of like she wanted to be with her children in heaven, and the testimony actually got cut off because he asked her about whether in the Catholic faith, suicide is believed to be a mortal sin, and the defense objected, and the judge like scolded them, and the defense actually moved to have a mistrial because they brought up religion, which I like. I mean, I know it's Massachusetts, and like the whole lecture is mostly about like separation of church and state, and I read only one article where some legal analyst is talking about why that's a problem. I don't understand how that doesn't get to the mindset of the defendant on
That's
like,
exactly what it does, which is probably
Yeah,
why the mistrial motion didn't work.
yeah, I don't understand what that would be. I guess it would just be another example, and it might not be on this judge or even on this legal analyst of giving this absurd, kind of view of what separation of church and state is for. But it's just a reminder that it's so crazy how far away from it we've got. I mean, obviously we've reformed.
But that was their ostensible reason, was you just can't even invoke religion in a courtroom?
Yeah, like I guess
Okay.
I don't know if it was supposed to be like that this is supposed to have an effect on the jurors because Massachusetts has some Catholics, or like what
yeah.
what exactly, it's supposed to impinge her character because she attempted suicide, or
I guess I could
I don't
I could kind of see the angle there. Not that I think it holds any water whatsoever, but the idea that basically the prosecution is trying to paint her as a bad Catholic, but that's not really what they're trying to do. And this is, again, if you're going to build a murder case, part of what strengthens your case is establishing motive. Right. And so that's what that line of questioning is meant to do. That we're trying to figure out, okay, what was her state of mind? What was she trying to do when she killed these kids?
well, the prosecution didn't even ask. Like, it's just the therapist recounting his conversation with her. The therapist asked her this question in session or whatever. And so, yeah, like they didn't even, it wasn't that the prosecution asked about it. That's why I also don't really understand how, and that was the prosecution's response from what I understand.
So it's just witness testimony then. It's so how can you declare a mistrial based on what one witness decided to volunteer?
Right. And it wasn't even like offering his opinion on it or speculation about her opinion on it. It is literally recounting a conversation that they had. So, yeah, I mean, the whole thing seems silly, but who cares about it? I mean, like, I hope she gets punished, and, you know, obviously she's paralyzed, so that would be some form of punishment, but, you know, jail time. I don't even know, like, exactly how that looks as far as people that are, like, not whatever it is,
paraplegic.
Yeah, like, you know, what prison looks like for them, but I don't imagine it's very good. So
low security.
Well, thank you for the call, Fwen. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Have a nice night.
Okay, so those are just our 2 calls tonight. We don't have anybody waiting right now, so if anybody else wants to get in on a live call, you can hop into the Discord server. We'll have room for you. But we will move on for now. I'll check back. And Tim, if you're listening, if you do get anybody who is wanting a live call, just let me know so I know to come back to Discord. We'll check back in on that. But before we get into your additional thoughts on postpartum psychosis and SIDS and the broader themes of the Lindsay Clancy trial, we do need to check in on some Super Chat. So let's do that, and then we'll get back into the Lindsay Clancy stuff. But let me see. I'll pull up Super Chat here, see what we got. Injured Guardian, to clarify, my Lindsay Clancy question Sunday wasn't about leniency. Can't remember exactly what your question was, although I could go back, I guess. Only about deciding the best deletion method. Neil made me edit, thus confusion. Okay, so let me go back and find what you had Sunday so I can get this properly contextualized. Oh, the question was, would you treat Lindsay Clancy, coin toss, treat Lindsay Clancy the way I would treat arsonists or the way I would treat PDF files? So yeah, you're saying, like, you're not advocating lenience, you're just saying either way they deserve a certain deletion method. Gotcha.
Yeah. I won't disagree.
Death penalty gone, and I assume death penalty is that's not a thing in this case. It's only life in prison, right?
I think so. Yeah. I don't think there's been any talk of that. I don't know what that state's position on the death penalty is, but
I'm sure it's got to be. Well, I guess, what am I doing? I'm standing in front of a computer. Death penalty in Massachusetts does not allow the death penalty for state crimes. So banned in 1984. It was deemed unconstitutional in the state case of Commonwealth v. Cologne Cruz.
Deemed unconstitutional.
Yeah.
So that it was decided in court, huh?
Yeah. It was not by legislation. It was by the court. VV. They seriously need to file lawsuits. I assume he's talking about the NBA guys, right? I mean, the show will go on if they do that, and I'll be here to watch it. Jay Brits, regarding Darline Graham, South Carolina has an open primary, so Dems can vote in the Republican. Oh, okay. So that's a factor I didn't realize. Maybe they wanted Darline. But if you're a Democrat, though, see, and I've done the sabotage voting because Montana has open primary too. So a lot of times, in fact, this last election cycle, I did that. I voted for Democrats in June who I think would be the worst candidates in the general. So I do the sabotage voting when it's strategically advantageous in Montana for that reason. But I don't understand the sabotage vote for Darline. I guess it's the same thinking. They think they're going to beat her, but more than likely you're going to put her in the Senate.
Yeah, I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense in this case because neither candidate really makes a ton of sense for a sabotage vote. But if I were going to pick and I were a Democrat, I would go with the one with less name recognition, right? The bigger unknown, as it were. Just because, again, in a election like this, name recognition probably is one of the biggest factors.
Yeah. And number two, he says there was a lot of Democrat money in ads against or challenger. Okay, so maybe Democrats want her for some reason. I just don't get what the angle is of why they would want her.
Even if they opposed him because he's like an actual conservative, maybe he actually knows what he's talking about, all of that sort of thing. Again, that doesn't strengthen them in the general. If anything, if you were a staunch conservative, he might be easier to run against, right? If the state is a little bit more mixed, then you kind of want the person who is a little bit more center lane, and
it's not. I mean, it's a pretty decidedly red state, though. It's not. There's not any reason to believe that a Democrat. It would take a shockingly bad Republican and an amazing or an amazing Democrat. Look at situations like Doug What's-His-Face in Alabama after that Roy What's-His-Face got in trouble for like picking up young girls at the mall.
Roy Moore. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
Doug, right.
Doug, whatever his name was. Man, do you know? I don't want to get into this too deeply, but like, I've listened to Ben Shapiro plenty of times, and I think he has a lot of good commentary, but I have never forgiven him for the Roy Moore incident. Because they basically railroaded Roy Moore for dumb stuff, the usual, right? They
Did he not pick up 13-year-olds at the mall or whatever they accused him of? I think it was like what? It wasn't 13, but older teens or something.
He actually succeeded in some of his libel litigation after that, if I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't be surprised to learn that a lot of it was bullshit drummed up by Democrats. Yeah, that makes.
It was years and years later, though.
Yeah.
And people on the right helped sink in his campaign by saying they were credible accusations.
But of course,
nobody ever actually demonstrated any legitimate. And I'll grant. He wasn't like real slick with his defense of himself. He basically said, no, I never picked up anybody who was underage. And if I ever did like try to pick up girls, I was very respectful about it. And I got permission from their mothers. You can see that he
did say that. That's not great.
That's what I mean. He argued past the sale as far as his defense goes. So he kind of sabotaged himself in a way with the way that he defended himself. But it's like you can tell what he said and what he meant aren't perfectly aligned. He never admitted to picking up underage girls. He kind of admitted, I may have looked for dates at a mall or something, where in public places, but not necessarily with underage girls. And so you can see, okay, political savvy, not the best, but it was dumb to sink an Alabama Senate seat over this. If the right had been smart, we would have just said, the accusations are stupid. Nobody's proved anything. Just vote for him. That's there were all these years. We could have had that Alabama Senate seat. We lost it for no reason.
Thank you for the clarification. Tim has some thoughts, and thank you, Jay Brits, for your thoughts on South Carolina. Tim says, "Damn it, Turless, you're making me look like an a-hole." Matt has paid for merch I have worn as a uniform over the last few years, and I'm not even on camera, so nobody sees it. That's true. I have sent him work uniforms at his request to wear. And I've sent him all the way to Australia, man. That's not cheap. And I'm not even on camera, so nobody sees it. By the way, my shirts are old, and I have to get a new one sometime soon. Well, we'll see if it's in the budget, Tim. We'll try. Tim says,
Tim, you can donate to my merch fund if you want.
We can all watch the Alex Pretti video over and over in slow motion. The officers experienced it as just seconds. They took one gun. They had no guarantee it was the only one. It was potentially a bad shoot, but a bad shoot is not murder. And that's the other point, too. They keep throwing around this term murder. Yeah. And when you go frame by frame,
whatsoever using it.
Yes, by the letter of the law, it might not be a great shoot insofar as it's pretty Alex Pretti. It's pretty debatable whether lethal force was presented. But again, I operate under the theory that the gun itself was an accidental discharge, which gave those officers reason to believe that a lethal threat was presented, even though it was a false understanding. But whatever your theory of the case is, it's not murder. They didn't go there looking to kill Alex Pretti for no reason. He created a circumstance that was very dangerous, and unfortunately, that dangerous situation was ultimately realized.
It's amazing when you juxtapose the two cases that we're talking about right now. Here we have a woman who has admitted to ruthlessly killing her 3 innocent children, and another guy who was resisting arrest and impeding law enforcement. And with him, we have to go through and with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that it's perfectly justified.
Yeah.
With her, though, now at least as far as a good portion of the female population is concerned, we are simply going to assume the best.
She can kill with impunity. Yeah, doesn't matter. Tim has a couple more thoughts, and we do have one more caller, so we'll grab a quick call, and we'll get to your thoughts on the rest of that case. But growing up, did you guys ever hear the phrase, look with your eyes, not with your hands? Because in my response to the Pretti family, Alex cannot be claimed to be an observer. If he is not getting into physical confrontations, that's not observing, right? He didn't get shot for observing.
Yeah, he's not just standing around looking.
Could have stood and many people stood and observed, in fact, and they weren't killed. So it's not the observation that cost him his life. And Tim also says, for the people that aren't in the MC Live Discord, so an update on your dad. That's right. We took him to the emergency room on Sunday night. We were able to bring him home Tuesday afternoon. We will try to get a call, we'll try to get a call sometime to discuss my many complaints about the medical system. Well, we are glad to hear that your dad is doing well.
We love you. You're very special.
And all the best with his health. And thanks for the update, Tim. Okay.
I'll have to just circle back with you.
We are going to come back to chats at the end of the show. We do have one caller left, so we'll take a quick call. We'll get back into the Lindsay Clancy stuff. Who is here? Oh, Caleb's here. Caleb anti-vegan. I got to get myself unmuted. Mr. Caleb, are you there?
I'm here. How are you?
We are well. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, I was actually just curious, and I know you don't normally stray too deeply into religious discussions here, but
we have been lately. In fact, we have another question later tonight.
I do all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I was curious if you had seen or had any comments on the recent dust up in X on the Calvinist versus Pelagian discussion.
I'm not that deep in it, so no, I don't even know what the controversy is.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I've been too distracted by all this Lindsay Clancy stuff.
What's the situation?
Dinesh D'Souza basically announced that he's a Pelagian Arminius, essentially, and so all the Calvinists are coming out in full force, and it's kind of surprising to me how many Calvinists are actually out there. And
what's the dispute? Is it just denominational warfare, or you switch teams? What's the actual issue?
No, so the actual issue is God's sovereignty versus free will.
Okay. And Dinesh has changed his mind on that, or what?
No, he's announced that man has supreme free will.
Okay.
Even over his own salvation.
Interesting. Okay. That seems hard to square with Christian faith to me, but I've not considered this deeply.
This is an very, very old discussion. Okay. And he's come out on the full side of man essentially has the choice to be saved over God.
Yeah, that's not the way I would phrase it, but I would agree that you have the choice for salvation on God's terms. I wouldn't say over God, but within the rules that God has established, yes.
Yeah, and that's more or less how a Calvinist would describe it, is that, God is supreme.
Yeah.
And he has full authority over his creation.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're a sort of R.C. Sproul 5-point Calvinist, you're pretty absolute about that.
If he doesn't have supreme authority, how's he God?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's the issue.
So does that mean I have to? What do I have to go tweet? Yay Dinesh or boo Dinesh? Which one do I tweet?
Mostly boo, I guess, is where you would land.
All right.
Yeah, from what I would gather, it would be mostly boo. But I would say if you haven't studied it, don't make a call. Like
I just haven't looked at this on deep terms. You're describing it to be for basically describing it to me for basically the first time.
Oh.
Yeah, and this is a debate where I would caution any Christian on jumping into it too early because it will make you insane.
Amen.
It involves some pretty deep, philosophical, theological questions that we don't have great answers for in either direction, because you have to, of course, paramount is acknowledging the sovereignty of God, but also there is a question about whether or not that sovereignty extends so far that he becomes the author of sin itself, which you cannot allow, right? You cannot allow that admission that God is the author of sin. So there's a lot of tension involved there.
Yep. That is fully agreed. It's just the issue of salvation, not the issue. To me, it's the issue of salvation, not the issue of sin. God saves us from our own sin.
Right.
We don't save ourselves.
It's the double predestination question that trips people up, because it's like, all right, you're telling me that only God can save me, but you're telling me that I am responsible for my own mortal sin. So if I have the capacity to choose sin, how is it that choice doesn't involve the other option? Is what Dinesh might say. It's like, you can't tell me I chose if I only had one choice.
Okay.
So it can be very confusing.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
God has to give you a new nature before you can choose good. Is the Calvinist.
Okay. Well, thank you for the thoughts on this. That's not something I had really considered before. So I'll see if I can. If I have some spare time, I'll check in on it on X.
It's a lot of fun if you can enjoy rhetorical and logical debate.
And it's about truth. It's not just academic. It's about the truth of moral authority. It's very important to understand correctly. So I get it.
It is, but it's in the same vein as what was just mentioned. It's like discussing Revelation. The book of Revelation.
And I kind of like what Matt is
last
saying.
thoughts, both of you. We got things to move on to. It's interesting. I hate to cut it off, but I just want to make sure Turless has time for all the thoughts that he's assembled with Lindsay Clancy and stuff.
About this, I'll just say it is relevant for Christians because, the Christian walk is not static, right? We are always trying to get closer to the heart and mind of God. And so to that end, there's nothing that's really off limits. We can pursue any topic deeper and deeper, and that can be a very good thing, especially since this has to do with the pride or humility that we approach God with. So that's kind of important.
Yeah.
Caleb, last word if you want it. Otherwise, thank you for the call.
Just repeal the 19th
Wow.
and reestablish a Christian nation.
A double amen.
So more appealing option all the time.
All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Okay, we do have one other caller who hopped in. I appreciate the effort, and you're welcome to try to call back next time. But appreciate participation in the show.
I think that was GR. So yeah,
I just didn't know if it was appropriate to say that. I don't know. I didn't want to call it whatever. Now the name's out there. It's like the names of Alex Pretti's killers. We're gonna whip up mob justice on him. All right. Thank you, GR. And perhaps we will hear from you soon. Appreciate you participating in the show as well. But without further ado, so going forward, and I did announce this at the top of the show, in the same general way that Matt P makes a planned contribution to the show each Sunday, Turless is going to do a little bit of his own prepared segment as well. And you wanted to talk about not just the Lindsay Clancy trial, which we discussed on Sunday, but some of the broader concepts of it, specifically like this idea of postpartum psychosis and or SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So What do you got? How fake are these things? That's what we all want to know.
And I wanted to talk about this because I was a little bit troubled by the way that this was all being discussed on Twitter. There's a lot of opinions, a lot of really, emotional talk, and we're all kind of talking past each other. And I've heard people on the right take the approach of basically mental illness don't even real, and then the other side, which is going too far in the sympathy department for Lindsay Clancy. And it's like...
So you're fence sitting, huh? Right on brand. All right, let's go.
Yeah. I don't know if I wanted to take that claim, but basically I wanted to understand these different sides a little bit better. And so to that end, I wanted to understand postpartum depression and psychosis a little bit. And I brought up SIDS because some people were saying some stuff like, not only is postpartum depression less real than people say, but like, you aren't even all ready to have the conversation about SIDS.
I didn't realize that there's a whole murder angle on it.
Right. And so I did want to bring up that case kind of briefly. So that was like kind of like just the first thing.
Okay. Let me grab that. Here we go.
Yeah. So back in the day, we had this case. What was her name?
It is Juanetta Hoyt.
Juanetta Hoyt, that's right. And so she had 5 children who died at different times. So over the course of many years, she had 5 children, and they all died at different times, and it was said to be SIDS. And for some people, that claim didn't sit quite right. So she was interviewed and eventually admitted that she had smothered every single one of her children.
And this happened in the mid 60s into the 70s, the deaths.
Right.
And it sounds like she maintained this SIDS explanation until 94. So 20 some years, 30 years.
Right. And she tried to recant her confession later, but it didn't work, and she still died in prison, as I understand.
So the theory, just so I understand, SIDS is, I guess, how common is the Juanetta story? Where children they either die through suspect means or are outright murdered, and SIDS is just the claimed explanation.
And
is this an outlier or is this regular?
I had the same question, and I tried to look that up, and estimates range as low as 2% of all SIDS cases to as high as 40%.
Are straight up murder.
Are just, the mother smothering her children and claiming SIDS later. And there's really no...
You got so many sources I can't even find them, but I read that somewhere. I read,
it was definitely in one of these.
We'll link the sources later, but that's. Let me see if I can find it, because that's a pretty crazy claim that 40% of SIDS cases are straight up murder.
Yeah, as many as. And I had that in here somewhere. But sorry, we were trying to shorten my story.
First go, there's a little bit of duct tape hanging out.
Duct tape all over the place.
Well, there it is. It's a white background one.
That narrows it down. There are only 20.
Right below the Fox report. A little bit.
I got nothing, man.
Shoot. No, sorry. Right below that.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Here. Sage Journals, 10% of SIDS cases are murder, or are they? It might actually be 20 to 40%. And this, just so I understand, this is a published academic study. This is not like a guy and his ex deep dive, not to discredit ex deep divers, but this supposedly is peer reviewed research.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a pretty broad range. The fact of the matter is nobody is quite sure. But absolutely it's some of them.
I had never considered that SIDS was straight up murder. Like I thought it was like vaccine stuff or negligence or just whatever.
And unfortunately,
straight up murder is insane.
Unfortunately, it's very easy to claim SIDS because for these smothering deaths, the symptoms are similar, right? It's like, respiratory and cardiovascular distress, that sort of thing.
I should actually be careful here too, because the title I think is a little bit misleading. 10% of SIDS cases are murder. But then they use the term homicide when they say 40%, which
true.
Murders
Yeah,
are homicides, but not all homicides are murders.
Right. That's a good point. That some of these could be sort of accidental. But but the thing is, the reason that people were bringing that up is largely because there's always kind of an assumption, like people assume the best about mothers, and you can kind of understand that. You know, you don't want to just witch hunt everyone, especially if it's just a tragic case. But at the same time,
witch hunts were justified. Witch hunts were based.
Yeah. But at the same time, there's kind of like, we might be erring too far in the other direction, right?
Yeah.
We might be giving them a little too much benefit of the doubt.
Every benefit ever invented, in fact.
Yeah. And so I was kind of concerned about that. And, you know, I wouldn't go so far as some people on Twitter are saying that they'll say SIDS is murder. SIDS isn't even real. I won't go that far, but sometimes SIDS is homicide. That is true.
Okay.
And then as far as postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis, so we have a couple of things to sort of consider, and this came up in the trial. Postpartum depression and psychosis are both not their own category of thing in the DSM. They're sort of they're classified as something else. So they're classified as in the case of postpartum depression, it's classified as major depressive disorder or a depressive episode within bipolar 1 or 2, and carrying the specifier with peripartum onset. And it's actually similar for psychosis, brief psychotic disorder with postpartum onset, or as bipolar disorder or major depression with psychotic features. All of that to say,
very technical.
It's a little bit technical, but the takeaway there is that many of Lindsay Clancy's defenders have been coming at this from the perspective that they are insistent that postpartum psychosis is a very real thing, and it's very measurable and distinct, and the doctors all say so. And it's like, well, the doctors really, those who have contributed to the DSM, have really only given that sort of a subcategory to something else. And it's not as scientific as people want to believe. It's very.
I can't even trust the science on it.
Like, look, guys, this is not 2 + 2 = 4. Okay, we don't really understand the brain all that well, but there are a couple of features that you already talked about on Sunday a little bit, which is that, first of all, postpartum depression is by and large measured and diagnosed in psychological ways. Okay, so that's almost entirely based on how the woman says she feels postpartum depression.
Very reliable, very objective.
Yeah. Well, not at all. Postpartum depression, and because it's based almost entirely on the way women feel, it's actually very common. It happens to like 1 in 7 or 1 in 8 women who give birth.
Is it as simple as women say they have it, so they do, or is there some kind of objective measure?
For postpartum depression, it is mostly that. There is some desire to. There is some desire
I feel
to,
sad, therefore clinical.
Right. There's some desire to sort of include clinical measurements. So there are things that we can measure about hormones, like the drop in progesterone and all that sort of thing. But the thing is, all women who give birth experience that, right? But not all women experience postpartum depression.
I assume it's not exactly the same rate or whatever, but it's got to be ballpark generally the same.
Yeah. It's very similar. So what do we find? We find that there are a lot of cofactors and confounders. And, so among them, one of the things that I found was that for postpartum depression in particular, if you, for example, have been very promiscuous, your chances of postpartum depression are much higher.
So what is the theorized link there? I'm going to pull this up, and this is going to be hard to read, but this is the scientific information to that effect, I gather.
It is, yeah.
is it as simple as some kind of psychological reaction to being a slut? Or what are we dealing with here? Why would there be that association?
There are a lot of theories, but I think the underpinning here is that there's pair bonding is kind of one of the big ones.
In terms of just being mentally well with
right,
the birth of a child.
When you look at a sexual relationship, for example, there are hormonal aspects of it that tend toward pair bonding, right? And so somebody who sleeps around a lot tends to overcome or break that tendency toward pair bonding. And so once you have a child and you are supposed to be forming the same sort of pair bond with them, your hormones are kind of used to discarding that, right? Overcoming that.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like conditioning yourself to not bond. Again,
okay.
We don't understand these kinds of things very well, but that is one of the theories that I've seen.
So if you're a big slut, not only do you get STDs, but you get brain AIDS too, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and you find it more difficult to form the attachments that you're supposed to be forming. So once again, if you follow the ancient advice that you will find in scripture and that sort of thing, you will be better off.
Don't make me tap the sign.
Yeah.
And another, I wanted to just briefly loop back to the case here, and that postpartum psychosis is an extremely rare thing, unlike postpartum depression, and that is more physical. They can there are a lot of indicators that they can measure, the thyroid and different things that tend toward those more extreme symptoms. And so it's like 1 in 1,000, 2 in 1,000, something like that, who suffer from postpartum psychosis. And among those who suffer postpartum psychosis, an even smaller percentage ever act violently or even have violent thoughts toward that end. So it's like 2 to 5% of postpartum psychosis sufferers
are violent? And it's already like 1 or 2 out of 1,000 that even get it?
Right, 1 or 2 out of 1,000 who even get it, and then 2 or 5 out of 100 of that 1 or 2 in 1,000.
Yeah, very, very small percentage.
Extremely rare. And even more so, you have to consider that 80 to 90% of the cases happen within the first month of giving birth.
Yeah.
And so what Lindsay Clancy is basically telling us is that she's 1 in a billion, 1 in 10 billion almost. What she is trying to argue that she is almost unheard of, especially since none of the doctors ever really saw psychotic symptoms. Despite their claims now, they didn't see any symptoms that suggested that she was hallucinating or any of that. So she really doesn't have much of a case.
All right. Well, I know there was a bunch of other stuff in here too. There was, as far as the case, there was commentary on the 911 call. Did you want to get into that? Or...
Yeah. Let's just play that video real quick.
Yeah, we don't have the 911 call itself, obviously, because as they discuss in this segment, that was excluded from the stream. You can't listen to that. The jury got to listen to it, but the rest of us can't. But we do have a reporter who was in the room. I can't find that exact tweet here because there are so damn many of them.
Sorry.
But anyway, this is some commentary from a reporter who heard husband Patrick's 911 call when he got home after the errand, realized his wife is nearly dead, didn't know at the time his kids are dead, but comes to realize it apparently on the 911 call. That is this clip.
It was one of the worst, the worst thing I've ever heard. It was the screams coming out of Patrick were just unearthly and guttural and unlike anything I've ever heard, really. He found Lindsay, and he was panicked. You could hear the panic in his voice, but he was still very coherent. And he was able to talk to the dispatcher about getting emergency responders there. He was able to reassure Lindsay. And then when emergency responders arrived, he was heard saying, "I'm just going to go check on the kids." And obviously he had no idea what had happened at that point. You could hear him running down the stairs and then just these unearthly screams. He was unable to speak. His words were indiscernible. until he screamed out, "She killed the kids." And I mean, the whole courtroom was just torn apart by it.
Yeah, terrible, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's a line that she didn't include there. It's just heartbreaking. So he's there, he's talking to the dispatcher, and he's mostly checking on her, and he noticed the injury on her neck because she kind of sort of tried to slash her throat and her wrists, but they were very superficial, so they weren't even bleeding. And he was telling the dispatcher that he's like, she has an injury on her neck, and the dispatcher is saying, "Oh well, put pressure on the wound." And he's like, "It's not bleeding though." And so he's checking on her, and he's telling her stay with him. The dispatcher's telling him, "Don't move her." And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go check on the kids." And you can hear him. He stays on the phone. You can hear him saying, "Hello, guys," and then, "Oh no," yelling heard, "Oh no, wake up." It is a lot of screaming, a lot of crying and gasping. "Oh my God. Hello, what's going on? Patrick. Basement. Oh my God. Hello," and more screaming. "Ah, she killed the kids. Oh my God. Dawson, my buddy." And I get emotional every time I read that.
Yeah. It's hard to even think about. It's hard to imagine such a situation.
So I can't even imagine. But yeah, and there was that other clip, and we don't have time for it, but Lindsay Clancy's friend was in the courtroom, and she's all smiles and happy and everything. And I just don't know how anybody can be acting that way when they're hearing things like this.
The last thing I wanted to mention about this, and we don't even really have to comment on it, but if that's, are you comfortable with your thoughts there, or is there anything else you wanted to get into?
That was most of it, I think.
I just wanted to mention this. I know you put this in the Discord server too, and just for people to have the context of what the intro to the show was.
Oh yeah,
over on British TV, GBN, they were debating this. You got a guy called Thomas Corbett Dillon, who's debating a former Obama advisor, apparently Lori Watkins, about this case. And it just descends into Guy saying, "No, you don't get to murder kids," and this woman flipping out, calling him a misogynist.
Didn't want to hear that.
Calling him hateful and storming off the set, apparently. So here is most of that clip.
These are man-hating women that are standing outside. This is what it's about. They think the husband did it. They're crazy. They've lost their mind.
Do you know why
they're waving for a murderer?
Do you know why the woman is in a wheelchair? Did you even notice that she's
couldn't care less. She's a murderer.
Because she jumped out the window after this happened.
So she should have. I'd have pushed her. They say that Lindsay was in psychosis. I think these women are suffering from psychosis. They've been watching too many true crime Netflix dramas. You know, this was an incredibly privileged woman, incredibly wealthy. She had a nanny, and she's still complaining that she needed help. She could not have got more help from the system that she already have received. This is a murderer who strangled her children one by one. One of the boys ran away, and she chased him down and killed him.
Lori Watkins.
What you just said was absolutely disgusting.
Thank
and
you.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Thank you.
And you can hear that he's not. Okay?
Why? Because it's true.
You clearly don't care, so pipe down.
I don't care. And by the way, men watching this, if you have a woman sat next to you on the sofa who is defending this murderer, you got to think deeply about this. I've seen weddings.
But we need to have some empathy with.
Talk to your women and find out what are they thinking. They're defending this woman. It's
I don't think anybody's defending what she did, but you can have empathy for what she went through and how she.
I know many women that this has happened to. No, they did not kill their children, but they also, what you failed to mention.
They should be commended because they did.
I've had it with you.
Oh my God! They
And
should be
your
commended. They're going to
sexism
kill their
and
children. She's a murderer. These women are killing.
I'm done.
Yeah.
No life found.
That's how these discussions go. No, you don't get to kill kids, despite your explanations A, B, and C. And when the arguments evaporate because they don't stand up to that basic moral truth, which, by the way, the same logic extends to abortion. We'll talk more about that in a minute. We talked about that on Sunday. It descends into name-calling and how dare you, and you're a sexist, you're a misogynist, and none of those things are examinations of moral truth. It's just what you have said has upset me, and now that I'm upset, I guess I can claim to be a postpartum depression sufferer too, because I said I'm sad, therefore it's clinical, and I'm a member of the crazies as well.
Yeah. Give me drugs.
Well, we do give them drugs. That's its own problem. But okay. Thank you for the contribution. And I know there was even more in there that we didn't get to, including the crazy eye lady in the courtroom. But
I bit off more than I could chew with this one, but I did my best.
No, hey, over prepared is better than under prepared. So we can always cut a little off. I appreciate your effort. But we were going to get into our emails and voicemails. Before I do, a reminder, if you'd like to leave a voicemail, email, or now text message for the show, the way to do that is through the contact page on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contact. Remember, note that the number has changed, but it will stay consistent. So please update your contacts accordingly. And yes, if you like to text the show, you can now text the show once again. So first voicemail tonight is from a caller who wants to talk about, hilarious names inspired by the Samantha rape woman accused of murder in South Carolina the other week. But here's the call.
Hello, Matt. Just listened to the episode in which she shared the information about Miss Rape, or is it Mrs. Rape? And her,
we don't know if she's Miss or
allegations of committing murder. There's a Kentucky House of Representatives member named Sarah Margaret Stalker, and it's spelled like stalker as in stalking people, not as in shelves. Wild thing is that she's married and did not take her husband's name, which is crazy. She's a Democrat, of course, but having the last name Stalker, growing up with that, getting married and being like, nah, I want to stay being a stalker. Wild stuff. Have a great show. Take care. Bye.
According to Wikipedia, that is 100% accurate. Information looks correct. It is a rough name to draw.
Does she have kids?
I don't know.
I hope, if so, I hope the kids took the father's name.
Her spouse is Javon Roy Bachman.
Bachman is a perfectly fine name.
Well, yeah. I remember Michelle.
Yeah.
But Stockman's or Stalker is a rough draw.
How do you get a name like that?
Well, how do you get rape? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
rape is much worse.
That one too.
And when you have one like Stalker is more, I don't know. It's not a great name, but it's more edge. You know, when you have a whole family heritage behind the name, I understand why you want to keep the name regardless. Rape is when Stalker I can believe. Rape I just can't even believe that's
remember
a name.
Remember Drumpf? That was
yeah. That whole
Yeah, so you can Americanize the name. It's like you still have a connection to the old one, but spell rape differently or something.
And we don't know I only know that the guy in the news story pronounced it rape, but for all I know, it's rape or something like that. All right. Thank you to the caller. Voicemail 2 is from Kaiser and Gilroy. Also wants to talk Lindsay Clancy, feminist reaction of support for her and his displeasure with all of that.
Hey, Matt, and whoever is rolling with you on this Wednesday night. This American person is tired of women, at least the twisted, brain-rotted women who stand with Lindsay Clancy. Let me tell you something right now. What I'm about to say is not up for debate. There's no gray area with this one. If you support Lindsay Clancy, a woman who committed a triple homicide because of postpartum, you're worse than Margaret Sanger, not Hitler. Also, this American person is tired of white liberal mothers posting their orangutantrums on social media because they're having an off day with their kids. This should be a green light for anyone watching this kind of content to call Child Protective Services, because who knows what she's not posting on the internet for some kind of validation. So to recap, women who support Clancy, schedule them all for a mandatory hysterectomy. Women who post their raging crash outs on social media instead of taking a deep breath, you're the reason why I'm calling for a total and complete shutdown of women on social media until we can figure out what the fuck is going on. And it's Miroslav Shatan, not Satan. One of the greatest names in sports, right after South African cricket player Quinton de Kock. Now give me my LaDonna drop, the other one, because that's how I feel about these evil women that support Lindsay Clancy.
I'd like to say, fuck you! He's absolutely right.
Very enthused call. I appreciate it. Now, do liberal white woman freakouts, do those count as orangutantrums, or are those racially reserved?
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I mean, it's same force, same destructive force, I would argue.
And it's about
it's not as consolidated. You know, you look at like the blocks of damage and the multi-billions of dollars in the Summer of Love. And you don't see that the same way, but the damage of the liberal woman has to be, it's probably worse when you consider the body count of the abortion mountain.
Say the long-term effects are actually worse.
Yeah, I don't know. So I guess you're right. Like orangutantrum, they are honorary orangutantrum.
Yeah. And I just remember. I was just thinking. Remember in Bruges?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
Generally liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy Henry, I think his name was, and he was saying, "Hey, you know, he killed a kid. You kill a kid, you don't come back from that. You know, if it had been me."
Those were the old days.
Yeah, if it had been me, I would have put a gun in my mouth immediately.
And to the point the callers make, like, burkas all around, man. Yeah, we're going.
Yeah. And you were talking. Go ahead.
Well, the nugget of truth about the burkas all around thing, and I know the caller didn't say that. I'm kind of slightly exaggerating what he did say. The nugget of truth there is, yeah, and we were talking about this on Sunday. Men, the solution is men leading women to God. Okay. We cannot walk away from this because the future depends on it. There is no future without the union of man and woman. That's the way it works. So we have to get this under control. We have to lead through this. We can't just walk away. And that is the great challenge for us. But thanks to Kaiser for taking that leadership role. I appreciate that.
And you know, I know we have a lot of fun at women's expense on this program, but I just, you know, I want to say again, I actually really like women. I appreciate everything that they bring to the table, and hey,
I'm just looking for a button. Boom! There we go.
And I think you're right. There are two things that have happened. One is men have not really, they've sort of abdicated the role of leadership with women, and also in doing that, we've sort of. And one of the reasons that we kind of correct in the other direction is because that we've kind of avoided the practice, as it were, of criticizing women, of saying, "Hey, that's messed up. You guys are doing something wrong here."
You think that we're? I don't know. When I was younger, like I said, the biggest mistake I made in my 20s through my 30s was like pedestalizing women. All right, of course I respect.
Right.
The mother of my children and my wife, and I care about what she thinks, and we consult on everything we do in our lives. But she is not on a pedestal above me, because the fact of the matter is we both have a role to play in the functioning household and in the raising of our children. She criticizes me when I deserve it. I also criticize her when she deserves it. And neither party can be above that, because we both have a crucial role to play in the success of the family. Once someone is immune from criticism, it's over. They have free reign to commit all the abuses they want, which is why women are behaving the way that they are.
Right. And that's one of the reasons that I brought up the SIDS thing. It's like, look, guys, we are in a sort of civilizational loop here where no matter what happens, the worst is assumed of men and the best is assumed of women.
Yeah.
And we have to break out of that.
Thank you to our voicemailers. I'm going to check real quick. I don't think we have anything else. Oh, we do have a text message. Chris to the J in the text line says, not sure if anyone's brought this up with Darline. So this is Graham in South Carolina. But it likely didn't help that Norman, as in the guy she was running against, the congressman, gave a pretty bad immigration take, pro-legal H-1B, okay, from what I recall, in the runoff debate. That's true. And to Darlene's credit, I should have probably mentioned this, she is saying we should get rid of the filibuster to pass the SAVE Act. Now,
I'd vote for that.
I do, even though I have some serious concerns about getting rid of the filibuster, at least I can appreciate the serious stance on immigration. So
I guess I don't
probably
really
should have mentioned that.
I don't really want to get rid of the filibuster, but I do think that Thune could have insisted on the talking filibuster. I don't know why we don't.
Yeah, you got to make him do it. Make Mr.
Like
Smith go to Washington, man.
What's wrong with that? It's just laziness. They just don't want to do it.
I'm not a fan of her, but she's known and supported by Trump. Yeah, hopefully she doesn't occupy the seat as long as her brother did. She's something like 10 years younger than Lindsay, because remember, Lindsay, their parents died and he got legal custody of her when she was a teenager, so they have almost a parental relationship. She's a little bit younger than him. Not a little, I mean, it's like a decade, but so she could be around for a while. But
she could be around a long while. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for the clarification on that, because those are points that I should have made in that segment to make it a little more fair, but I forgot. I was negligent. Anyway, let's move into email questions, and let's see, 10 after the hour. Let's be a little bit efficient here. I think we got like 7 of them, but we'll do one answer each, and I'm going to hold myself to that too.
I will try.
AI Slopstar, would you agree that out of every single political issue, abortion is the one where supporters of it tend to bring up other issues the most in making their arguments? Some examples I've heard include, you're pro-life, but you don't support preventing gun deaths with gun control. You're pro-life, but you don't support free childcare. You're pro-life, but you support the death penalty.
I do, actually.
Yeah, if you do agree with this, if we agree with his characterization, do you think that it's a sign that their arguments in favor of abortion are weaker than their arguments for other things that they favor? So I do agree that people tend to deflect on the abortion argument often. I don't know if it's more or less than other issues. In general, to stick up for this a little bit, in general, considering hypotheticals is exactly how we find moral principles. So it's a perfectly valid thing to do, and it is a useful and important tool. However, it's not always presented honestly. Are these people trying to find the moral principles at stake, or are they trying to own you with a dunk?
Yeah, no,
you have to evaluate. But I
agree. Clearly a rhetorical tactic.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with your proposition in this context and the arguments you've presented. The moral truth with abortion is very simple. Human life has inherent God-given value. The value is defined by God. It's not defined by us. It's not defined by other people voting. That's our entire moral foundation. You erase that, and we got some problems in terms of the chaos world that we're then indulging in. And therefore, it's wrong to take a baby's life. And it's the same reason it's wrong to take any other person's life without reason. The deflection points aren't actually hypotheticals according to that principle. They aren't following that same principle. So pro-life means what? It means nobody has a right to kill you without justification. Nobody has a right to kill you in cold blood. But it doesn't mean that everybody has to sustain you. It means God chooses when you live and die and not other people. Pro-gun rights don't mean pro-murder. So that argument is ridiculous. Like, the fact that I want people to have the fact that I want the right of people to be armed to be recognized means I favor killing people with guns. That's obviously not true. Pro-property rights and anti-taxation, likewise. If I think the government doesn't belong in the business of being babysitter for every single person and providing every need they could possibly have, that doesn't mean you're pro-murder. Those are different things. Now, as far as the death penalty, that's maybe the strongest counter argument among these presented here, because it is in fact actively killing someone, but it's also not murder. It's not killing in cold blood. It's killing as a matter of justice for a crime. And maybe we say, well, isn't that us deciding what lives end and not God deciding what lives end and when? Well, it is,
I would actually go to scripture about that.
According to what, though? It's according to, in design, we're supposed to be pursuing God's law, justice under God's law through that effort. So taking a life as a matter of justice for a crime committed is not the same thing as taking a life for no reason at all or just some personal reason. But that's a long-winded way of saying I generally agree with your analysis, and for the most part, those hypotheticals, at least in my experience, are not presented in the good faith effort of finding the moral principle. They're actually presented for the purpose of deflecting from the very simple moral principle.
So this is obviously just bad faith. It's classic bad faith argumentation here. They're not interested in actually winning a debate so much as they're trying to shut you down. They just want you to shut up and say, you'll be a big ol' hypocrite if you say that. Which, as you pointed out, is not true. The gun deaths thing, it's like, look, I want people to own firearms because they have a right to self-defense. Obviously.
It's pro-life. Yeah.
Obviously.
Their life deserves to be defended.
And speaking of which, I heard that the self-defense cases were kind of suppressed under the Biden administration.
It was one thing that I had for an optional topic to get into tonight. The CDC defensive gun use is coming back, but we don't have time to get into it. Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of relevant here, right? So let's, people use guns to defend themselves all the time. And we want that. We don't want a disarmed population. There's a what was it? Zimbabwe or South Africa, where it's like they confiscated all the guns, but then they literally sold them to gangsters.
That's the most government thing I've ever heard. Yeah, that's great.
They literally did that.
And what did it cost? 1 trillion Zimbabwe bucks per gun.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so they took them from the law-abiding citizens, gave them to gangsters, and surprise, surprise, now the gangsters have all the guns and they shoot people willy-nilly without any.
They shoot them dead for crumbs. That's how it goes.
So it's stupid. And if we took this argument to the extreme, we would just ban cars, right? Oh, you're pro-life, but people die in car crashes all the time. You should want to ban cars. It's just stupid. It's stupid. Don't come at me with that. And free childcare. I mean, give me a break. So you're telling me
it's
that
never
I can't
free.
Be,
we need to ban the use of the word free in this one too.
Yeah, I can't be against the taking of innocent life until I sign on to every single one of your welfare proposals.
Yeah.
Get out of here with that.
Yeah.
And then of course the death penalty. The big finale there. Yeah, imagine that. I draw a distinction between innocent life and murderers, between infants and people who, like, say, for example, strangle their children. Yeah, I do draw it because those things are different. Imagine.
By the way, even the death penalty does not, I am breaking my own rule already. The death penalty itself does not deny the inherent value of life. What are the reasons we have so many different protections on it? It's because we want to make sure, double sure, triple sure, we're not wrong in that execution. Why? Because life has inherent value. So you better not be wrong in the administration of justice.
Exactly. So no, it's nonsense from top to bottom. And as many people have pointed out in the past, don't come at me with scripture either, because that was like literally back in Genesis, God established the death penalty for murderers. So yeah, no.
All right. Thank you, AI Slopstar. Chris B. I moved abroad from the United States in early 21 to pursue a job. COVID was still prevalent, but I was against getting the vaccine, still am. Felt a lot of pressure to get it, mainly because of the talk of vaccine passports, not being able to see my family because I'd be banned from travel and all that. Sadly, I got both jabs. It's one of, if not the biggest regrets of my life. That said, I love seeing the scrutiny Fauci is getting, even if there are if there's no legal punishment that he faces. Seeing his dirty laundry aired in a small dose, or is a small dose of revenge, but Republicans need to wield power better and actually do something about this shit instead of just saying the quiet part out loud. Just a quick rant. All the best. Love the show. Thank you, Chris. In general, now, first of all, even though obviously, I'm sorry that you feel regret for it, and I understand why you feel regret for it. I also understand. I don't think people should beat themselves up too much for the coercive pressure that was applied to them. I didn't have that in my life. I'm very grateful for that. But I also know that I didn't have the sort of pressure applied to me to do it. I hope I would have stood up to it, but I was never put in that situation. So for people that made the decision of, I want to stand on principle, but they're going to take I studied for a decade to get this job, and now I'll be like unemployable in this arena, or I won't be able to travel to see my family. For whatever fault I could put on you for supposedly not standing on principle, the moral fault, of course, is on the people who imposed that on you. So yeah, I think the ideal thing was to stand up in these situations. Easier said than done for people who had a lot of stuff on the line. Whatever criticism you may apply to yourself, please apply it much more strongly to the people who did that to you. And it sounds like you are with Fauci. And by the way, if anyone deserves the punishment of the process if anyone deserves that treatment, it is Fauci, who of course made the process the punishment for effectively all Americans and did it with glee. And I am likewise disappointed with the Justice Department for not testing the legal liability of Anthony Fauci. Could have done it with the established perjury case prior that is now beyond the statute of limitations, but Pam Bondi didn't see fit. Thanks, Pam. There's potentially another perjury case against Fauci regarding what he did or did not say to the intel community about COVID origins that Tulsi Gabbard had talked about. even if the case is not extremely strong, test it. Okay. Fauci deserves the process punishment.
Yes.
But also there are real questions about the pardon that he was issued.
Yeah.
We have the auto pen. We have the broad nature of it. Like, there are legal questions about the pardon itself that could be tested and answered through bringing a charge. And maybe Todd Blanche will. He's been doing some stuff that Pam Bondi didn't seem interested in doing. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. I mean, this is all unprecedented, right? So let's see what sort of precedent we can set. Let's see if this kind of pardon, this kind of blanket pardon for unknowns and all of that actually bears up against scrutiny. We won't know until we try. I don't know if I would absolve you completely, Chris, for taking the jab, but I'm not going to totally blame you either, because there's something rational about this. A lot of difficult choices that have to be made when you're faced with this kind of situation. I don't know. You're certainly not alone. The vast majority of people got it so they could carry on with life, and in theory, because they were told it was the healthy thing to do. It's how you prevent spread, right? Everybody was lied to in that way.
We do forget how it was a sequence. It was a cascade of lies.
Yeah.
It's easy to look back now and see them all collectively, but it was for those who maybe were just going along to get along, which is always kind of a mistake, and hopefully we learn that lesson. It was like step by step of lie. It was like, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, piece of candy, ooh, piece of candy. The bit from Family Guy. It was kind of like that.
Yeah.
At some point you have to stop.
Now we learn that they intentionally suppressed therapeutics because they wanted to make sure that as many people as possible were in a position where they might be nervous enough to get the vaccine.
Yeah.
So it's like, in order to get as many people vaccinated as possible, they actually wanted people to not have natural immunity, which was extraordinary, which is one of the reasons for the lockdowns being conducted in the way that they were. So
thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
There's a bit of a conspiracy against you there.
Longtime follower of duct tape, not duct tape, but duct tape.
The real stuff.
Yeah, some would say.
I'm impressed with the duct tape.
In regards to the Great, by the way, longtime follower of duct tape, the Great. In regards to the partner label that we were discussing previously, not boyfriend and girlfriend, but partners that weak people give each other, we need to just start calling a spade, friends with benefits. I think that as a colloquialism, I think of that as a colloquialism rather than as written. The question, do you think the government needs to recognize those people as being in some criminal relationship, like prostitution? Let's be real. They are trading cash or gifts, in some form. Or should we criminalize them for having children out of marriage for those that aren't fags? I am quite certain your answer is no. But can you think of a solution to fix the rot in society? The seemingly obvious answer is Jesus, but I won't hold my breath. Per the sign tapping, now, I do agree that marriage needs to be a more prominent social expectation, and deviations from it should be viewed more critically for exactly the reasons you're talking about. It is in the interest of the children who naturally result. Man plus woman equals child. Generally speaking, the parents of that child owe that child their commitment. Each child is owed his parents, thus marriage. That's why it's important. And that is the unique property of man and woman. And marriage is the institution that morally confines that relationship toward that unique property. Now, of course, you're right. Do I want government? Do I trust the government to enforce such things? No. Do I think that criminalizing deviance is generally the right way? No. The right way, as you mentioned in here, unironically, yes, the right way is the church. The right way is a revival. The right way is Jesus Christ. Even though some of these things used to be illegal, like these sexual deviances, until we decided there was a constitutional right to some of them. But even back then, when they were statutorily illegal, was it really the statute? Was it really the threat of like cops kicking down your door if you do butt stuff in your apartment, as happened in Lawrenceville,
Not
Texas.
generally. Yeah.
It happened, but it was rare. I mean, it really, the enforcement mechanism was social norms and social expectations upheld through religious institutions and traditional ways of life. If we rely on the government for whatever success we may have, the end result will be forced gay marriages. That's where this will go. So no, I will not rely on
Like
the government.
Sam Hyde bit, yeah.
Yeah.
State enforced homosexuality.
Exactly. You have any
Yeah.
thoughts?
No, well, a few, but I mean, not really. I obviously don't think that's really workable, that you could criminalize, having children out of wedlock.
The problem is, like, having children out of wedlock is a disservice to the children, but criminalizing it and putting mom and dad in prison is also a disservice to the children.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't fix it.
I just don't see how that's workable. That would be a very sort of strict authoritarian society that we just don't have, and we're not remotely ready for, even if you are warm to it. So it wouldn't really work. I do wonder, maybe, I encourage people to think of solutions. One of the things that I thought of recently, I was trying to think of, because you were talking about how, like, husbands can lead their wives, for example. And we're talking about outside of marriage in this question, but still, just for the sake of the idea of you're a man, you have a wife, you should have a leadership role. And I thought, we should be thinking of ways in which that looks, practically speaking. So one thing could be, like, men should know something about their wives' friends, right? And they should have some influence over that, because women influence each other to an extraordinary degree because they are so social.
Without saying too much, and I won't, obviously I can't name names in this situation, but I'm astounded by how many women get together and talk shit about their husbands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
very long.
They say things that if my wife ever said to me, I mean, number one, I'd be very insulted, but number two, we'd have to have a very serious conversation about, listen, whatever dispute you have with me belongs in the confines of marriage. You cannot go out. You cannot betray my trust with your chit-chatty friends. How is this supposed to? It's shockingly common, and they do it with ease. They reveal very intimate things to each other, and I can't believe that they do it with such comfort.
And there's a tendency to reinforce anything that's negative, just automatically. If you have
all
a
I know
complaint,
is total bullshit. Like, it's smearing of a guy. It might not even be true.
Right. And part of that is because they really don't like to hear it when there is pushback, right? They want solidarity. So if they have a complaint, they just want somebody to nod along and say,
yeah, validation.
That's right. Your suffering is very valid, and he is a bully and a jerk. And it's like, that may feel good in the moment, but it's really destructive over the long term.
And when I hear that, it makes me not want to be friends with people who do, because you're sitting here betraying your husband. Why would I trust you? Like, if you don't value your husband enough not to keep this, if you don't value him enough to keep this stuff private, on what possible basis can I trust you with less important matters? I can't.
Right. So just as a general, how can we improve relationships between the sexes? How can we improve family situations? Think about stuff like that. You can protect your wife from her friends if you know enough about them and what sort of things they say.
It's a very difficult situation because my stance is no female friends, but also no male friends.
Right.
So I don't know who's left.
No friends at all.
Yeah, just none. Your job is to take care of the kids.
We need,
and mostly she's on board with that.
Got to have some social interaction, but do a little vetting. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Thank you, longtime follower of Duck Tape. All right. Mr. Retard is back.
The R word. This is shameful.
And Mr. Retard had a question last week, very retarded question, if I do say so myself. No, it was a good question about why I choose to follow Jesus Christ, why I choose to be Christian, and some of his hesitation with that. So he has a follow-up because apparently I didn't get into the core of his question. He says, sorry, I must be retarded or something. I feel you missed the point of my question last week. I brought up the fact that the story of Jesus was around word for word, look up Horace as an example, before the story of Christ. How do you reconcile that? Why should I believe in a myth that was told before Christ was born, supposedly, why not just believe in a creator about the prospect without the prospect of a so-called or quote-unquote savior? Is it unreasonable to believe in a God that is just without putting my sins on the Son of God to absolve me? So I recalled the question a couple weeks ago about why I buy the story of Jesus. And I believe my answer was a couple things. Number one, I just have a very hard time believing apostles universally die for a lie. Nobody confessed that it was all fake if they were knowingly participating in a fake. And number two, because I see the effects. Faithful Christians are generally living happier, better, more fulfilled lives. So whatever questions I have about Jesus, and I have many, and I ask them weekly in the Bible study, and I go to church on Sundays to try to figure them out, and we talk about them on this show, I still choose to follow because I see those results in action. Now, as far as the claim that the story of Jesus is copied or stolen, Turless, you might know more about this than I do, but I don't mean to put you on the spot. I've not read a lot about those claims. In my quick AI search, which is obviously authoritative, this settles the matter for sure. The robots know it all. But I don't see an actual direct copy story. For the skeptic, you could say there are points of similarity in stories prior, but the entirety of it being some sort of word for word copy, I don't actually see evidence of that. There was a reference to Egyptian god Horus, but that Horus was not born of a virgin, did not have 12 disciples, was not crucified. Yeah. There's the Persian god Mithras. Mithras was born from a rock, apparently, not a human mother, and did not die or resurrect. The Greek god Dionysus is referenced because he was born to a mortal woman after an affair with the god Zeus, which is maybe somewhat similar.
Yeah, the demigod thing, that was fairly common in Greek mythology.
Yeah, so as far as I understand, without a detailed knowledge of it, it sounds like some sort of infidelity between God husband and God wife, goddess wife in a polytheistic scenario. Yeah. Based on what I see, and again, this is a initial glance, so maybe I haven't seen what you're seeing, Mr. Retard, but there are thematic similarities. I don't see this word for word copy. There are movies about aliens, for example. There are movies about dinosaurs, but they're not all actually the same. And if you have an example of the full story of Jesus existing before the actual Jesus, I'm happy to take a look at it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I don't see it yet. But as far as the other substance of your question, is it unreasonable to believe in a creator without Jesus? No, it's not unreasonable. I think that's most of the way there, actually, because you're accepting a moral authority, and that's very important. But if you accept a moral authority, you should accept accountability for sins against that moral authority, whatever you call them. If you don't like the word sin, the violation of that moral truth, and you should seek salvation from those violations of that moral truth. You should seek to align yourself with that moral authority. Do I know with certainty that Jesus Christ is that salvation? I choose to accept it on faith because I've seen the results that faith brings. And if I choose to believe Christ in life, I'm going to choose to believe him in death as well. So that's my thinking. And I'm open to this copycat theory if I can learn more about it.
For 2,000 years, to your point, Christianity has been changing lives and entire cultures for the better. There is no other system of faith that has had this kind of impact on the world. And so based on that alone, what you're saying, you would have a very strong case that there's something to this.
Well, the other thing, I've said it before, I just don't know of anything else that's categorically false, but practically useful. Like there are only things that in the moment might be false, but are circumstantially useful, but long-term, for centuries on end. What is categorically false but still useful? I can't even make a list of. I can't make a list of one thing. So I don't think Christianity is that.
No. And I will say that this claim about Horus, it's just not true. There's some the claim about verbatim copying, that is just not true. I would listen, Mr. Retard. If you are open to suggestions, I would definitely recommend some reading on the subject.
You would not impose on Mr. Retard like that, would you?
Yeah, I know. But there's a book called Evidence That Demands a Verdict, and that's by Josh McDowell and Sean McDowell, and that's a good book. There are some very good apologetics books that actually get into the evidence and in a very, like, we're not talking about just faith, although I do think faith plays a role. We were kind of talking about John Calvin a little bit earlier, or at least Calvinism, and Calvin certainly advocated for the legitimacy of coming to faith based on just the call, right? Hearing the voice of the Holy Spirit. Okay. And I'm by no means going to naysay that. However, I have benefited a lot from actual apologetics, as Peter, said, having an answer for those who have questions about your faith. And so, yeah, try Evidence That Demands a Verdict, or I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist is another book. Do some reading. They have addressed those questions that you have about the mythology that supposedly the story of Christ copies. It really doesn't. But don't take my word for it, as LeVar Burton once said. Go read one of these
something book.
Yeah,
reading Rainbow. Yeah.
It's
in a book.
Take a look. It's
That's
in a
right.
book.
Yeah,
I got a little painting down here. See that?
Back when the rainbow was cool.
But yeah, right.
Anyway, and by the way, I thank you for the references. And Mr. Retard, I think, is completely earnest in his searching here. I think he's asking the right questions for the right reasons, and I think he'll probably take the path that you're talking about.
Yeah, go for it, because there's more to talk about this than we can possibly fit in a few minutes here in response. But believe me, you're not the first person to ask those questions, and some very smart people have written very thorough responses to them in books that I've read, and like I say, I've found a lot of value in that. It's really strengthened my faith.
All right, thank you, Mr. Retard. Be humble. Just a thought on SIDS. SIDS is essentially propaganda to convince white mothers that if she doesn't buy a $500 sock that sends her a push notification every time her baby sneezes, they might randomly die. In actuality, the SIDS statistics are mostly comprised of brave and beautiful women of size and color who are failed by the system and proceed to get drunk and fall asleep on their child.
I don't think nothing's funny about it.
I didn't bring that up too much, but there is the strongest, or the biggest cohort, racially speaking, of mothers who suffer from SIDS is black mothers, and
it's racist,
and it's also correlated to drinking, which people question are like, wait a minute, why does the child die all of a sudden if the parents get drunk?
Yeah. Odd that. Thank you, Be Humble. Hugh Joe Mo.
Hello, you fat. So you're a queer, aren't you? Queer.
Have you been watching the TikTok feminists lining up to support Lindsay Clancy?
Oh, have we?
Indeed we have. Yes, a subject of discussion today. How much would we really be surprised that, how much should we be surprised that this is happening? If these women think it's okay for a mother to kill a baby a minute before it comes out of the womb, why would they condemn a mother killing a 5-year-old, 3-year-old, or 8-month-old? What could be done about this, if anything? Well, I haven't watched actually much of the TikTok stuff. It's just been the street activism, but I'm sure they're very similar. And yeah, the abortion parallels are unavoidable. It is the end of the abortion logic. If the children are a burden to me, I should be able to kill those children. And Matt and I got into that on some on Sunday. Now, what can be done about this? Well, as a matter of the law, killing kids should be illegal, whether you do that in the womb or out of the womb or however you do. You start there. But as far as ending this culturally, it's the sort of stuff that we just discussed. Men claiming a leadership role once again and stopping the nonsense. But we've been over that, so I'll leave that there.
Yeah. Your logic is certainly correct. What can be done about this? I mean, you're talking about a massive cultural shift, right? That's really the only thing. And only now, somebody was saying, I think we're witnessing the death of feminism here. And what he meant by that was the messaging has become unbearably despicable, right? We have women out there sending these signals that it's like, not only are we going to legalize abortion up to the point of birth, we are also going to make every excuse imaginable for a woman who just strangles her children. And this, remember what I said a few minutes ago about the statistics. A woman who has even violent thoughts is rarer than the number of women who have postpartum psychosis, which is much rarer than the number of women who have postpartum depression. All of these women who say that they know how a woman suffering from postpartum psychosis are lying, or at best deeply misinformed.
They just have more empathy. That's
you
all.
You may have felt bad after having a child. You may have even been a sufferer of postpartum depression in some way or other. And again, yes, you do have a hormonal crash after giving birth, but not all women who feel that report postpartum. But regardless, no, all of these women who say that they have solidarity with Lindsay or solidarity with women who have violent thoughts toward their children that they are willing to act on, no, that is not correct. And the fact that so many of them are sort of willing to say that, despite the fact that it's just not true, that's a very sick culture that they're participating in.
Thank you, Hugh. Say hello to the rest of the Jomo family for me. Okay, last one. Get a load of this British cigarette.
Look at this fat.
That's Odie. Now, Odie, this is a very long one, but since you're a regular contributor who usually follows the rules,
I'll allow it.
might have to be brief with the response here, though, because we are up against the clock. I'm aiming for a sub 3-hour show. Supposition. A recent study showed that sex-based differences on empathy or showed that there are sex-based differences on empathy and justice. In a study in 2006, 16 males and 16 females are playing a monetary game with two stooges. One of the stooges plays fairly. One of the stooges cheats. During the game, it was noted that when the fair-playing stooge was shocked, both the male and female's empathy centers light up. So they're scanning their brains somehow, I guess. When the cheater was shocked, females' empathy centers lit up. So I gather in this experiment, it's established. Shocked, I assume means like electrically.
Like zapped, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, punished.
And it's established that one guy's cheated and one guy's an honest player, and everybody knows that. When the cheater was shocked, females' empathy centers lit up, slightly weaker. Males' empathy centers barely, if any, registered anything. But their reward centers lit up, so they enjoyed the suffering. Question: given that females have empathy for the perpetrator, what conclusion can we draw for their involvement in the justice system? Please debate among yourselves before reading my thoughts. Okay. So just the administration of justice requires as close to emotion-free adherence to principle as we can do as human beings. Administering justice for the most serious crimes, even for less serious crimes, can be very emotionally difficult, but moral principle requires it. Thus, female involvement, which is more often emotionally based, should be suspect in the justice system, but that's not the modern norm anymore. Like you were saying, it's not hate on women. Women have a role, a very important one, a crucial one, building and nurturing families. That is where this emotional inclination is very necessary. I can't emotionally nurture my sons in the way that my wife can. But if you had to have someone administer justice fairly, not that I can do that or should do that unilaterally, but if my wife and I were to have a conversation, who's going to make a fairer judgment about a person who committed a wrong? It's not going to, we're going to make that decision in 3 seconds. There's a reason why the administration of justice in my family, when my boys commit some toddler wrong, that is generally a dad decision, because it should, even when I have to punish my sons most severely for the worst things that they do, you cannot administer that punishment emotionally. It's very important that the children understand the principle of why they are being punished. So even if the justice that is required for them is severe, you don't make that decision on emotion. You make that decision on principle. And
everybody Everybody knows that one of the worst threats you can receive as a child is you're going to regret this when your father comes home.
Yeah, and that has to mean something.
Yeah,
and for good families, it does.
Yeah,
but I imagine we're probably on the same page here. Do you have any? I mean, are you going to yay women on all women juries?
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh, no. Actually, I was going to further his point a little bit because I saw something this week that said they also tested this among men, and the higher the testosterone level, the more judicially minded the men were. So,
really? So they weren't like enjoying the suffering more.
well, what I mean is the more strict they were about justice, right? So the same effect where it's like they are in favor of punishing the guilty and of favoring the innocent.
Yeah.
That effect grows, it tracked with higher testosterone. So the weaker the T, the more woman-like you become in the way that you don't.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Now, I will caveat that just briefly by saying, whether we're talking about Lindsay Clancy or we're talking about testosterone and the matters of justice, I will say I really want to push back against this entire paradigm of thinking that reduces everything down to chemicals and hormones and genetics and all of this kind of stuff. What we are finding, especially with SSRIs, look, if we could medicate away evil, we probably would have taken great strides to do that by now. But as long ago as C.S. Lewis, he was already writing about the attempt to make evil a clinical diagnosis, and it's just not, okay? People are more than just chemicals and atoms. So let's not reduce them down to just that.
Well, thank you, Odie. As far as Odie's thoughts, I'll just read them and we'll move on because we are out of time. But he says, no one's talked about this study in 20 years? WTF, apparently. I haven't heard of it. I'm concerned that females have empathy for the guilty. I believe it has led to jury nullification and lenient sentences, as is common in Democrat areas and judges of a certain demographic. I believe the male's desire and associated neurochemical reward to justice can easily be manipulated, maybe leading males to seek that reward without prior due diligence. Okay. Would also be interested what would happen if the Stooges were unattractive. So the Patrick situation from earlier. Removing that bias, as we have seen, how many letters serial killers receive. Thanks as always, Odie. P.S. If you or anyone else is interested, the study is called
Empathic.
It's maybe it's just
no, you're right.
Empathetic neural whatever. Yeah, empathic or empathetic neural responses are modulated by perceived fairness of others. It's from 2006. You can look it up. All right. Thank you, Odie. And thanks to all of our email question askers. As a reminder, if you'd like to submit a voicemail, email, or text message for the show, the way to do that is through the contact page on my website, mattchristiansenmedia.com/contact. Please do note that the number for the voicemail and the text message line has changed. In fact, I got a couple more text messages here. Let's see. The law is a tutor, Galatians 3:24. And I don't know who the texter is, but that's the message. Do you know the context that might fit in?
That's a saying that we repeat often enough. You'll hear Catholics say that a lot. Catholic integralists, or now we have on the Protestant side, Christian nationalists. The law is a teacher is a way of saying a lot of people get their cues for what is right and what is wrong based on the law. So we should take that into account.
Which is the reverse. The law has to reflect a moral truth. The law does not define a moral truth.
Yeah. Well, and that's true, of course. It's just that a lot of people do, unfortunately, get their moral cues from the law rather than trying to build the law on what is moral.
Yeah.
So,
and Denise just says, well, there are two texts. Women are stupid. Laughing emoji. All right. Clancy is being prosecuted for action, not thoughts. And as a mom, actions are paramount. Yeah, it's not. She was not just an observer. She did some stuff. That's for sure. Thank you, Denise.
You are thinking clearly.
Yeah, appreciate your contribution to the show. Okay, we'll catch up with Super Chat here. We'll call it a night. I got to give a quick refresh here. And I know we left off with Tim. And we'll see what else is in here. Okay. Might have to move a little bit efficiently. The Great Negro as in his mid-leg joint is extending. It's expanding. Negro 2021. I still posit that in the Pretti case there was an ND. A negligent discharge or accidental discharge that resulted in contagious fire. Grabbing a gun one-handed is a telltale lead-up. Look up sympathetic squeeze, interlimb communication. I think, to me, I mean, like I said, I can't prove it, but it seems like the most reasonable explanation for what happened here. I believe it's the case, especially given the gun in question and how many problems that gun has had.
Right.
Brian Corer, Lindsay is innocent. Her children merely suffered delayed SIDS. Oh boy, I shouldn't hit the rim shot sound for this context, but
I saw one absolute lunatic. No, wait, that was parody. Sorry, I'm not even gonna bother.
GR, hey Matt, had charged my phone. You said you were taking one other caller. Didn't consider he was in the waiting room already. I'll try to get on next week. Happy to hear my fellow viewers. Well, hello, GR. Good to see you once again, and happy to take your call next time. Or, of course, you're welcome to leave a voicemail as well if you prefer that method. Newbie. Now, normally Newbie makes me press the button.
You are gay, LMAO.
This time he just says gay. I mean, I've been accused of that many times, so I'm...
Tim was calling me gay in the chat, and I don't even know why.
Zeldgear, thank you, Newbie. Zeldgear? First of all, thank you very much for your support for the show.
I am not going to be niggardly.
We love you. You're very special.
Tim needs a shirt. That's why he's supporting the show so generously, I think. You can't run around the outback bare-chested. Well, we'll see what we can do. If you're directing me to purchase a shirt for Tim, then I guess I must do that. I must honor the purpose of the chat. So thank you, Zeldgear. Appreciate that. Jamie Clay. I credited it wrong. I guess I got confused in the chat, but Jamie, of course, is the AI dude who did the movie face swaps. He said, actually, Burn Bridges Brightly made the Muppet makeover. All I did was animate it. Now, so you were both involved. Okay. So I wasn't totally wrong. You guys both get credit for that. Thank you for that. That was pretty cool. I've never seen myself as a Muppet before. Long Dong John, can Jamie's Muppet Matt be a regular co-host? Now, I don't want to reveal too much, but there's another one that involves another co-host on this show. Current, not former. Anyway, it involves a Matt Palumbo depiction, but I'm saving that for Sunday because, of course, I want Matt to be there for that. But there are interesting angles on what we could do with this. Injured Guardian. Bachman is a fine name. Thank you, Long Dong John. Bachman is a fine name. Is Turner fine, too? Why wouldn't Turner be fine?
I assume this is some kind of a reference that's flying over my head.
It's a high-level joke. I am too foolish, too misinformed to understand. But I'm sure it's there. Laughing Boy. Thank you, Injured Guardian. I'm not shooting a person because they don't fit into my 10-year career plan. Yeah. They're not an innocent life that didn't get to choose it. Choose to get on while drunk on a Friday. Not even the same concept. Okay, so you're talking about being pro-life versus what context in the email? I can't remember. But the idea that, you can't be pro-life on the abortion issue and also pro-death penalty, that's incoherent for reasons discussed, obviously. Incorrect. Thank you, Laughing Boy. Long Dong John. He's back again. Darline, to the tune of Jolene. I'm begging you, please don't run for Senate.
Bingo.
Well, she's going to be in there for a while now.
Thank
you, Long Dong John.
Hey, maybe she'll do a good job. Maybe we're all being too hasty here. I don't know.
Tim has revealed the joke. Bachman Turner Overdrive is a band. So that's why.
What genre?
I don't know. I've never heard of the band. Injured Guardian. I say this with all love and respect, my brothers and sisters in Christ. Please stop referring to preborn or small children as it. God made them people. Did we do that tonight? It wasn't intentional. I think probably some of the difficulty of that is, especially we're talking about gender unspecified children, pronouns can be difficult, unironically.
Yeah. And I don't think it has always been as dehumanizing as it's considered today. Like if you go back to sort of a Shakespearean time, I think even adults were sometimes called it on occasion.
We definitely need to call some adults it now.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of it, Tim Curry's dead too.
I know, I was bummed about that. I like Tim Curry.
I don't know how bummed I could be after I saw Rocky Horror Picture Show. Just kidding. He was...
oh, gosh. You know, I've never seen that, and I think I'll keep it that way.
I wrote a review on it, and that's one of my all-time most hated movies. That
I saw most of the movies you watched, but...
there is no reason anybody should watch Rocky Horror Picture Show. Anyway. But yes, I would certainly agree with your premise, Injured Guardian, and if we did that tonight, it's obviously not with the intent of denying what you're saying, that those... children are human lives with all the respect and value that God gives them. Zeldgear, for no reason. Well, thank you once again.
I am not going to be niggardly.
That I guess I don't have to buy Tim a uniform then. If there's no reason assigned to it, the hell with Tim. He's going to wear whatever shirt he buys down under, and he's going to have to deal with that. All right, I think we are all set. Just under time. Look at us.
Amazing. Right. I'm actually surprised.
You made it through your first... I don't think you've ever streamed with just me, right? You've always been on a panel?
Just the two of us. No, this is the first time. And somehow we still managed to talk for 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
Man, just blah, blah, blah.
I don't know. Wednesday is a blah, blah, blah production indeed. I can't seem to trim it down no matter what I do. But now that you're hanging out on Wednesdays, I guess you can help me strategize. Though... one of the keys to the strategy would be not sending me 20 links of stuff that we have to talk about.
You know, I don't know why I picked such a difficult topic for my first attempt here, but I'm gonna next week I'm gonna take it easy and
you're gonna show up with one crappy meme and say your thoughts, analyze, and we'll still get 20 minutes out of it probably. All right. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Thank you to our super chatters. Thank you to our live chatters for making the live show a success. If you're listening on demand later, thank you kindly as well for supporting the show. Thanks to our callers. Thanks to our emailers. Thanks to Turless for joining. We'll see him each and every Wednesday going forward. Thanks to producer Tim for his assistance. Rest of the crew will be back on Wednesdays going forward as well. Find everything show related at mattchristensenmedia.com or mattis.k. Join the MC Club. I'll be back on Sunday night. Hope to see you then.
See you next time.
My